till after 1948. Why? Because the state of Israel became a thing, right? They're the ones propagating all this nonsense and all these fucking wars in the Middle East through the neocons, through Dick Cheney, right? They're the ones who fucking start shit in the Middle East with the Muslims and then pull us into it. And then that's what makes the Muslims actually hate us. The Muslims didn't attack us on 9/11 because they hated apple pie and baseball. That's not what fucking happened.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Wendt Show. I have a very special guest, the real Clyde.
How's it going, brother?
In the flesh.
Yeah.
Made it to Idaho. Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Thank you for coming out here.
Yeah, I've been meaning to come out here for a while.
Yeah.
But it just worked out during the holiday season, so it was my first time in Idaho.
All the way from Ohio? Iowa.
Iowa. Dude,
Iowa.
Those are the three states. Everybody gets confused. Iowa,
I think
Ohio,
it
and Idaho.
Yeah.
I'll tell people like, oh, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I grew up in Iowa. And they're like, oh, that's you guys grow potatoes out there. It's good snowboarding in Idaho. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah. You don't get that?
No, ever.
People,
well, I mean, but like, what would they say? That's the question.
Ohio
right?
or Iowa, I feel like.
Yeah, but what would they say? What is Iowa and Ohio like?
Ohio is like, I don't know. What do they grow there? They're like, oh, you're a Buckeyes fan or something?
Okay, yeah, I've heard that before. I mean, I've never heard that when I talk about
in
Idaho.
Iowa,
though.
it's corn. So they're like, you guys are potatoes, right?
We're potatoes, yeah.
Yeah, Idaho's potatoes, and then Iowa's corn. So I'm like, no, we're the corn people. They're the potato people. They have mountains. We're like, we're the flat as it gets.
We're the flatland corn people.
Yeah.
Gotcha. We're the potato mountain people. Gotcha. That's funny. Yeah, dude, no, I'm stoked to have you out. I'm glad you made it out. And it's been cool to connect online. And then it's always funny, dude. I mean, this has happened so many times over the last few years where I've connected with people online and then we meet in person. It's just like, oh, I've known this dude forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember when I started my Instagram, because that's where I blew up this year. And I started that in end of March.
Yeah.
So not that long ago. And it's close to 400,000 followers now. But when I first started, there was like a few people that hit me up and followed me, and you were one of them.
Yeah.
I remember you followed me and you DM'd me pretty soon after I started.
Yeah. And
we kept talking from that point, and we always talked about meeting up.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was literally while you were in the Middle East. Like I think that's what really got me to follow you, is I saw you in the Middle East. Like, I think you were in Jerusalem, weren't you?
Might have been. I was in Jerusalem. I don't remember exactly when you reached out.
I don't remember either. I just remember I think that's what really made me start following you, is I saw you were actually there. Mm-hmm. Like, cause this was kind of at the,
this was like hot.
It was hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you were there and I was like, okay, I'm going to follow this guy because you were saying all the things that I believed about it. And this was before, I mean, the propaganda has always been really thick, but this was before the propaganda got real thick. And it was like, everybody was trying to kind of figure out what the hell's going on over there. And I was like, this guy's there. Like, it's an eyewitness, report coming out of this place. And so I followed you because I loved your content, dude. It was super good. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when I started following you. So
yeah, and that was the whole idea behind going there, was to document it for myself and to see for myself. Because again, like, I had been aware of the state of Israel and their relationship with the Palestinians and how like the first Nakba went down in 1948. Like, I was aware of what it was, and I was aware that it was a genocide in Gaza. But you have so many people talking on the left, on the right, and center of, oh, it's a genocide. Oh, it's not a genocide. This is propaganda. You're all getting fed this propaganda. And so it's like a huge echo chamber online of all these different opinions and, fear mongering and people telling you that it's propaganda. So I decided, why don't I just go there for myself?
Yeah.
And just see for myself and figure it out and come back with my objective findings.
Which is really interesting, because every time I have some crazy like Zionist who's deeply connected to Israel, every time they get in my DMs, I just got one the other day that was like, you effing piece of shit. Like, what are you doing? Why do you have to say this? Blah, 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 blah. Why don't you go to Israel and see for yourself? They always say that. They always say, go to Israel, see for yourself. I'll pay for your ticket, blah, 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 blah. Like, the amount of times I've been invited to Israel over the last 5 months is mind blowing. But it's interesting that you say that, because then what's the case? Then what's that all about? Like,
well, they'll take you on these Hasbara tours where, I mean,
Yeah.
Brandon Tatum. That's what he did. He did the Hasbara
Sergeant
tour,
Shekels.
where essentially they roll out the red carpet for you before you come, and they show you a very skewed, one-sided
Propaganda.
It's a
Yeah.
propaganda tour.
Yeah.
I mean, they do that with Jewish people. So if you're a Jewish person, if you have Jewish heritage, and you're an American, if you've never been to the Holy Land, you have I can't remember what it's called, but basically they'll pay for your trip to go there, and they will show you Israel, the way that they want you to see it. So they'll take you to the Western Wall, they'll take you to parts of Jerusalem, they'll take you to parts of the West Bank, and they'll tell you like, oh, we need to stay away from these parts of the West Bank because it's dangerous. It's the Palestinians. They'll kill us. You know, they'll shoot us or attack us if they see Israelis or Jewish people. So we need to stay away from this. And they really like fear monger and hype it up so that they just paint this picture, and they can do it. You know what I mean? They can take you into the West Bank and paint a false picture of making you think that the Palestinians are these evil people who want...
How do they do that? Walk us through it.
Well, they have walls all around the West Bank, you know, basically blocking them off from Jerusalem, because Jerusalem borders the West Bank. And like, if you go to Bethlehem, for example, you have giant, like 40-foot walls, concrete walls, and they have guard towers and like machine gun pillboxes all over the wall, right? And so if you go there and you don't know any better, you can go there in a bus with some Israeli tour guides, and they're going to tell you, oh, the Palestinians, they would come and bomb us. They would come and attack us and cross the border. So we had to build this wall to protect ourselves from the terrorists.
Of course.
And
Self-defense.
The self-defense narrative.
Yeah.
And we had to put these machine gun pillboxes up here because sometimes they would try to snipe us across the border, or they would do things like throw Molotov cocktails. So we had to put the machine gun bunkers up here and stuff. And we have to have these checkpoints and these walls and this militarization zone of all of this, because this place, the West Bank, is just full of terrorists. So they can tell you that, and you'll look at the wall and you'll look at the machine gun bunker, and you'll think that's what's actually going on. When in reality, what they're doing is they're blocking off the Palestinians from Jerusalem, pretty much from Jerusalem, and they're not allowing them freedom of movement within the West Bank. So in the West Bank, they have like 700 checkpoints, I want to say, like Israeli military.
700?
Yeah, I don't want to misquote the exact number, but if I remember right, it was like 700.
I mean, even if it was like 400.
Yeah, it's a lot, because like
This is the size of New Jersey, right?
smaller, because the
How
Holy
the hell do you have that many checkpoints?
Because I don't know, because the entirety of the Holy Land is like this. The entirety of the Holy Land is the size of New Jersey,
You got a checkpoint every block?
but the West Bank is only a small chunk of that.
Yeah.
So yes, you have it in sometimes every block. When you drive into the West Bank, you can see it's like a dystopian world, because you have the big walls like in Bethlehem, and Bethlehem is like a beautiful town, and they just put this disgusting eyesore of this wall up in there, and then you go into other parts of the West Bank, and you see military checkpoints. And I took videos and pictures, and I posted this on my Instagram, and I documented it. And
Yeah.
I went and I talked to Palestinians that live there.
That's the stuff that made me
Like
follow you.
I went into their homes. I couldn't post this. I really wish I could, but like it would be jeopardizing their safety.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to keep their ambiguity or anonymity. But I would go into the homes of the Palestinians and talk to them and get their stories and understand what it was really like living in the West Bank under Israeli occupation. But yeah, as soon as you drive in to the West Bank, you see checkpoints, you see Palestinian villages that are surrounded by barbed wire fences or walls. And they're in like these essentially like shitholes. And then off in the distance, you'll see an Israeli settlement, because the Israelis there's like 700 or 800,000 Israelis that live in the West Bank now, illegal settlements. So these are just Israelis, sometimes just American Jews or like Canadian Jews or European Jews that will move to the West Bank. The Israeli government will subsidize them with our tax dollars. They will give them weapons in the West Bank. So these guys are walking around with M4s, AR-15 style rifles, pistols, shotguns. They arm them to the teeth, just civilians, settlers, to go live in the West Bank, which is Palestine. And what they'll do is they'll go by and they'll and I saw bulldozers. I saw them doing it. I have pictures and videos of this too. Like they'll take these bulldozers and they'll go and knock down Palestinian villages and kick them out. And then those Palestinian families have to go live in a refugee camp in their own country.
And then they'll bomb the refugee camp.
Not in the West Bank. They don't. Sometimes they will. Sometimes they'll go in and they'll do raids all the time, but they're not like carpet bombing the West Bank like they're at Gaza. But yes, I mean, they'll go in and they'll do raids and they will bomb them sometimes. But yeah, they're forcing them into these refugee camps, and then they're toppling and destroying the Palestinian village, and then they're rebuilding a really nice Israeli settlement. Like you'll have just a nice little town, like a nice little neighborhood that has a bank and convenience stores and a little doctor's office and a little chiropractor or whatever, and all these houses. And that's like this little settlement within the West Bank. It's like a little fortress for them. And they have Israelis like around it. And that used to be, those used to be Palestinian neighborhoods, Palestinian towns, but they would bulldoze them and then build atop them. And they're doing this more and more every single month.
Well, and they've been doing this since what, the freaking
1800s.
Yeah, forever. I mean, but they really ramped it up after like the 80s, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
After 1967.
67, that's
67,
right.
when they took East Jerusalem.
And what's interesting is that's always an argument too. That's always a Hasbara argument. Oh, well, we pulled out, Israel pulled out in 67, right? But correct me if I'm wrong, that's not the truth at all. What they did was they pulled the military out, but they still occupied the people. They never stopped the occupation. But that's always the argument from the Hasbara standpoint of we pulled out all the military in 67, and so they could have had this thriving society, but instead they decided to elect Hamas and blah blah blah. And I've heard it so many times now. It's exhausting.
Yeah, well, in the West Bank, they don't even have Hamas. Hamas was the governing body in Gaza.
Yeah,
right.
And they did elect them.
They did elect them,
right?
Yes.
Have you ever talked to a Palestinian about that and asked them, what? I mean, just from my own discernment, I would imagine that it's kind of like, hey, we may not agree with everything these people are doing, and they're pretty extreme, but at the end of the day, they're the only ones fighting for us.
Yeah,
so.
they view them as the freedom fighters, man.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you would find any Palestinians that live in Palestine that have suffered under Israeli occupation their entire life, because all the people that are there, they've suffered their entire life.
Yeah.
People in the West Bank
have bloodlines.
Yeah, bloodlines for generations. People in the West Bank have never even left the West Bank. You have like people in their 60s and 70s, and they've never stepped foot out of the West Bank because they can't. They're under that much occupation. They can't go to Jerusalem. On rare occasions, they can. They can't leave and go to Jordan. They just can't leave. They don't have passports, bro. They don't have an airport in the West Bank. In order to even fly out of the country, they either have to go to the closest airport that they can get to is in Amman, Jordan, which I flew out of. That's a couple-hour drive, but you have to get outside of the West Bank and cross the border. They don't have a passport to do that. Or you have to go to Tel Aviv, Israel, and fly out of there. So there's not even an airport for them to leave out of. They're literally stuck there. It is genuinely an open-air prison. So like you imagine, that's the good part of it. Those are the Palestinians that are like living the good life outside of Gaza. And so when they think of Hamas, they think of freedom fighters. These people, what the fuck would we do? If fucking Canada or somebody came here and occupied America, we would fucking destroy them. We would take our rifles and we would fucking kill them. Right?
And all the people that were watching us would say we were freedom fighters, and they would back us and they would support us, and they would do. And even though they were, too timid or apathetic or whatever to get in the fight, they would do everything they could to support the people that were fighting for them.
Exactly.
And that's what's happened.
Like if somebody came into America and started taking our homes, taking all of our sovereignty, taking all of our freedom, forcing us into little refugee camps, and then attacking the refugee camps, neighborhoods.
We would look to whoever would fight for us.
Yeah, exactly, bro. You would not condemn
regardless of what they were doing.
But yes, they have, and this is per international law, they have a right to resist genocide and illegal occupation. And that includes taking up arms.
Yeah, there's I'm sure you've seen this. You've seen the documentary Occupation of the American Mind, right?
The documentary? I don't think so.
Oh man, that's a good one, dude. That's the one that actually really, like, Ian Carroll sent me that one, and that was actually what.
Maybe I've seen clips. I don't remember.
You probably have. There's a part in it though where they say, Israel is not asking for the right to self-defense. They're asking for the right to repression. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, and at the end of the day, this is, it's so funny because every time I get in these conversations and I have the people that are opposed to it, they'll come at me and they'll say, well, you're just biased. And it's like, no, I'm using this little thing called discernment. And if you actually trace back the conflict in the Middle East and you actually look all the way back, I'm talking all the way back, because most of the people that you talk to don't look all the way back. They just look to October 7th or even just to this creation of the state of Israel. But it's like, no. Go all the way back. Go back to the point where it was the Ottoman Empire. Yeah. And Great Britain said, hey, we want this land. And they tricked the Arabs, basically, what was his name? I'm going to forget the name, but the leader of the Arabs, whatever his name was back then, they basically said, hey, listen, you help us overthrow the Ottoman Empire and we'll give you a free and sovereign state. Mm-hmm. Right? Sure enough, they did. They screwed them. And then what happened? Yeah, they freaking flipped the table on them. Instead, they had the Sykes-Picot Agreement where they divided the land up and gave half to Great Britain as a mandate Palestine, or mandatory Palestine, and then half of it to the French. And and then of course the Balfour Declaration, right?
Yeah, but they started moving there before the Balfour Declaration was even drafted.
Right.
In the 1800s.
Right.
And they propped up 3, I don't remember the names of all of them, but they propped up 3 militia groups.
Yeah, the Ergun, the Leahy, and the
yes.
So it was the Ergun, the Leahy, the Leahy and the hold on a second, let me think. Ergun, Leahy, and Haganah.
Yes.
The Ergun and Leahy were the extremist, like militant terrorist groups. They were literally terrorist groups. Yeah, so the first terrorist groups in the area, in the land, if you didn't know this, they were Jews. They were the Jewish terrorist groups were the very first terrorist groups ever in that land.
And you can't call them Israelis.
No.
You can't even call them Zionists at that time.
No.
Zionism wasn't even invented at that time.
Zionism was, but it was something different. It was labor Zionism. It was the idea that came from Herschel and, well, originally it came from Moses Hess, but then it evolved into what Herschel made it, which basically became a political movement.
Not Zionism we see
No,
today.
it's definitely not the modern day Zionism. It was just the idea. It was the actual idea that they were moving Jewish people into land to have their own, their own state or whatever. But it still was the same thing where they were pushing Arabs out and they were starting to only do farmland for Jewish people and all this other stuff. But it's interesting because those organizations, so the Haganah was supposed to be the militant group that defended the Jewish people from the Arabs during like the rebellions or whatever, right? And then the Ergun and the Leahy came out of that group, and they were the more extremist terrorist groups that were actually committing acts of terrorism. The first act of terrorism was the freaking bombing of the King David Hotel.
Yep.
And they killed not only Palestinians and not only Jewish people, because there were Jewish people in there too that died. They killed British soldiers. And it's just funny that everybody kind of glazes over that, right? Like we just kind of forget about that. And anytime you bring it up, it's like, well, yeah, but what happened before that? Look, for me, it's really simple. Self-defense. If I punch you in the face and you do something back to me, who's the one defending?
Me.
You. It's really that simple, right? No, and even if that conflict goes on for the next 3 days, who will always be the one that was defending themselves? The second attack, right? The retaliation. And so if you actually trace it back and you look back to history, there's always an origin. And in this case, whether you like it or not, there's an origin. Now, am I saying that there's good guys and bad guys? I don't think so. I mean, you may disagree with me here, but I don't think there's good guys and bad guys in the conflict. I think that the only good people or the good guys are the innocent civilians that have been caught in the crossfire on both sides. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to also be able to see that this started somewhere. And I believe that the people who started it should be the ones that are held accountable ultimately.
Yeah.
I think at this point it's impossible to really get some kind of solution to the issue or the conflict. Like I think we're far past that because
there will
never
be
it impossible.
A two-state solution.
There can't be.
There can't be.
That's the point of the settlements.
Ever since when it started in the 1800s, they have wanted that whole land, and they want Greater Israel too.
Greater
they don't
Israel,
just want Palestine.
Yeah,
they want more.
They want Lebanon. There
will never be and people think that's a conspiracy theory.
But no,
I'll talk about it openly.
I was just gonna say, dude, it's been a conspiracy theory up until I don't know, probably 6 months ago when Ben Gvir and freaking Netanyahu and all these the literal Likud started talking about Greater Israel. They've said it themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's
We're not the ones who fucking came up with that.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a real thing. 100%.
They don't have any intention, and they never have, of allowing Palestinians to have any sovereignty in that land. They want it all. The reason that they destroyed Gaza wasn't for the hostages. It wasn't because of Hamas. It was so that they could fucking level it. And now the Palestinians have no resources. How are they going to rebuild it? Have you seen the aerial footage?
It's an ashtray.
It's a parking lot.
There's
possible way. The Palestinians don't have the resources. They don't have the money to rebuild that.
Well, no, we're rebuilding it, dude. We're doing a luxury tourist destination.
Exactly. So
Gaza Riviera.
what's going to happen? If they want to live there, the Palestinians are either going to have to literally live in rubble, or they're going to have to allow somebody to come in and rebuild it.
Well, and I don't know how much you know about this project, but it's 100% real with Kushner and...
Yeah, Jared Kushner fucking has...
Jared Kushner and what's his face? I forget what the other guy's name is. They have him on 60 Minutes talking about it. It's so funny. Have you seen that interview?
Yes, because he was Jared Kushner,
Jared's like...
his business partner was like, whoa. He's kind of sitting there like very nervous. Yeah, this was before October 7th.
I know, dude. I know.
About it before
2 years.
October 7th,
He says, he literally says, we've been working on this for 2 years, and it's like... It was October. It was October 2025 when they did this interview. And he said, yeah, we've been working on this. We've had this in the works for 2 years. And Jared's like,
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
It is crazy, dude. Like, they were talking about this plan, literally. And
do you want to give them like context of what you're talking about?
yeah, we can. Yeah, absolutely.
Like so they were talking, Jared Kushner and I don't remember his partners.
And Go ahead.
Because that just tells you people like Jared Kushner and these other investors, they had to have known something was going to come. They had to have known that Israel had intentions on taking Gaza, because why would they invest billions of dollars into infrastructure and real estate in Gaza before October 7th even happened?
For sure.
If they didn't have some sort of foreshadowing of what was coming.
Hey guys, if you are watching this and you are enjoying this conversation and all the other ones that we have, please don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you're following along. We have a lot of other cool interviews coming up. I'm always trying to bring you guys just an honest conversation where we talk about the things that a lot of people are not willing to talk about in a way that most people can. So please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, continue to follow along, and I just appreciate all the support, guys.
But yeah, like the Gaza Riviera plan is 100% real, which is really funny too, because do you remember when Trump made that like weird AI video and everybody's like, oh, he's just trolling. He's just trolling. I literally called that out because I was like, he's not trolling. This is 100% really happening.
He had like gold statues of himself in this video.
Yeah, it was
him and Bibi on some beach chairs.
It was absolutely ridiculous is what it was. And I just remember thinking this is
And that was like during the peak of the bombing and the genocide.
Yep.
Like that was when every other scroll on Instagram, I was seeing a dead baby.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And Trump is over here like posting these fucked up AI videos of him having hotels and resorts in Gaza.
Yep. All right. So here's it is. Let's pull it up here. Okay. So oh no, this isn't it. Damn it, dude. I should have brought this up. I didn't know we were going to jump into this, but this is actually like, I had it all. I might have to like search for it later or something, but I had the entire breakdown of the whole Gaza Riviera plan and like how much they're going to do as far as tokens for people and just here, maybe I can type that in. Let me just type that in really quick. Digital tokens. That might bring it up. Okay. That might have done it. Damn it. Nah, screw it. I'm not going to waste time. I'll just say it. So basically, from what I understand, they're building luxury hotels. They're building freaking like spas. I mean, it's literally a luxury tourist destination, the Gaza Riviera, that they're planning on building on top of hundreds of thousands of Palestinian dead bodies.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they talked about how the Palestinians are either going to have to relocate or they're going to be given digital tokens to live in the city and a certain amount of money and whatever else. What does that sound like to you?
That sounds like this digital ID thing or like control over
smart
everything.
cities.
Yeah, smart cities.
Smart cities, but not only smart cities, now they're actually controlling those people with digital tokens. That's what they're going to live with. This is a real thing. Like you can look it up. I wish I could freaking pull it up right now, but I have so much crap in my phone. We can maybe add it later or something, but yeah, it's wild, dude. And it just goes to show you that that's been the plan. You know? Essentially,
yeah. And then they just destroy Gaza to a point where they give the Palestinians no other choice but to take whatever deal they give them. They don't have houses to fucking live in, man.
Yeah.
Like if they even want to recover their dead babies under the rubble or their dead, son or daughter or brother or sister, They have to have somebody come in and remove all the rubble. They can't do that.
And the Israelis are not going to do it.
Yeah. So whoever rebuilds, whatever they want to rebuild, they're going to have to let them come in and do it because they have no other option. Like the Palestinians, they got fucking nukes, dude. They have no ability to rebuild their homes.
I read somewhere that what's happened to Gaza is it could be the equivalent of 13 Hiroshimas.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that too.
Put that in perspective. That's insane.
And they always talk about how Israel is the most moral army. They say we're the most moral army.
Yeah, because they drop leaflets and they give them food, dude.
Yeah.
They give them aid and then they shoot them when they come to get it.
Exactly.
They lace it with freaking... they lace it with opiates.
Yeah. The civilian casualty rating in Gaza is higher than both World War I and World War II combined. So for every enemy combatant, they had to kill X amount of civilians to get to that enemy combatant. That number, percentage-wise, is higher than World War I and World War II combined. The most bloody, deadly war in history. This genocide in Gaza has a higher civilian casualty rating. I think they had to go through like 6 civilians to get to one Hamas militant.
Which, of course, they were doing.
Yes.
That's, of course, what they were doing. It's weird to me, you have, and I don't know all the terminology, I'll be honest. I'm not an expert with this. I have a lot of friends that are experts and they've kind of explained it to me, but it's escaping me right now. But we have, and Israel has, like precision missiles, precision.
Yes, dude, we give them.
What are they called? Like they have literal weapons that they can use to pinpoint people, targets in a building full of civilians, and kill those targets without killing the civilians. And they do it all the time. I thought that was the whole point of how many times I've seen a movie where they're like, there's too many friendlies, call the mission off.
Yeah. Dude, they were bombing hospitals that didn't even have Hamas in them. There was a few months ago, a couple months before the last ceasefire, there's multiple videos of them discriminately bombing reporters.
But that's just Hamas propaganda, bro.
Yeah. There's literally reporters who would go to this stairwell in this one hospital, and it was known that the reporters would go there because that's where they could get the best internet connection. And so the reporters would be in the stairwell, and they intentionally bombed that stairwell.
Oh, is that the one that got hit 4 times?
4 times. And they have
That's
all the
what
strikes on
happened.
video.
See, I've never heard that part. I've never heard that it's because they were getting Wi-Fi.
Yes, and
I always wondered why were they there specifically.
They were doing surveillance of that area, and Israel knew that the reporters would go to that stairwell in that hospital to get internet connection, and they bombed it 4 times, and it's all on video. I mean, like it's literally all on video.
I know, I've seen it, but I did not know the background of that. That's crazy. I didn't realize why. I remember
it was not arbitrary. It wasn't like let's just bomb this hospital. No, it was like, oh, the reporters are there. They're reporting on this. We need to fucking kill them. Let's bomb that stairwell
4 times.
4 times.
Make sure they're all dead.
Yeah.
Quadruple tap them.
Yeah.
And I think what's the exact number now of how many journalists have been murdered in
I don't remember the exact
Palestine,
number. It's in the
Gaza?
hundreds, but it's the most.
It's the most in
deaths.
history.
Yeah, it's the most in any war in modern history. I think the second most is the war in Iraq, and they wiped the floor with Gaza on the number of journalists killed.
And there's still people asking, well, why is it that we don't see anything coming out of Gaza right now? Because they killed everybody that was bringing it out. They're all gone.
And then
anybody that wants to go in, like, dude, what would you do? What would you do if freaking how many? Let's just say 100. I don't even know what the number is, but let's say 120 journalists have been murdered.
It's like 300 some. I think.
Like you basically know that when you go in there, it's like what is the life? I forget. I read this somewhere that the life expectancy for a medic in war is like 1.2 seconds or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like you're literally running into war with the Red Cross on you.
Yeah, it's illegal. Yeah, it is illegal. It's a war crime to target chaplains, to target aid workers, humanitarian workers, medical workers, or journalists. It's a war crime. Like you can't target them at all. They're not even allowed to carry weapons. Like those people, when they go into war zones, they don't carry weapons, and you're not allowed to target them. If you do, it's a fucking war crime, and they've done it literally hundreds of times.
But then they say they're Hamas. They say they're dressed. They're Hamas dressed up.
Yeah, they're dressed up as a paramedic, or they're dressed up as a journalist, and it's just Hamas. Every single time without fail, that's their scapegoat. And before I went to Palestine, one of the last things that fucking pissed me off was when they ambushed that convoy of ambulances.
I remember
was,
that too.
It was on mainstream media. It was on Al Jazeera.
That was the one that happened at night, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was paramedics that were responding to something, civilian bombing.
Yeah, they killed like 5 of them, right? Or something like that.
They killed all of them, I think. Yeah. And it's on video. There was a couple paramedics that were like live streaming it and recording it.
Mm-hmm.
And they got ambushed on a road. There was no military vehicles. They were all flashing red and blue paramedic vehicles. And they got ambushed on this road and they slaughtered them all. And as they were like coming out of the cars and trying to run away, like running out of the ambulances, they gunned them down. Yeah, gunned them down in the back.
And what's crazy too is every time this happens, if they do get caught, if Israel does get caught, right? They always say, "Oh, sorry, it was a mistake. We made a mistake."
Mm-hmm.
And why the hell do they keep getting away with that?
Because they have American politicians by the balls. They have England by the balls. No politician is gonna, we veto every vote.
Every single one, every UN. Yeah. Every UN
every
resolution.
single time. And I remember Nick Fuentes talked about this when Obama was leaving his second term. I don't remember exactly what he did, but he basically like didn't veto. There was a vote.
I remember. Yeah.
I think it was in regards to
the 67 borders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was the one time where, and Obama wasn't even trying to be controversial.
No.
He was basically just sticking to what he believed and what we all believed was the agreement. And then he was immediately painted as a Nazi and anti-Semite. Yeah, they literally painted it. They painted it as a second Holocaust, or like they were like he was bringing back the Holocaust.
Yeah, and that was one of, I think, if I remember right, Nick Fuentes. That was like one of his like red pill moments, is when they attacked Obama.
That's in that documentary. That's in The Occupation of the American Mind. You should really watch it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm convinced that most of the people that have woken up to this have seen that documentary or have seen a version of it or something.
Yeah, so like you said, like why are they getting away with it? Stuff like that, Even when Obama was on his way out of office, and he voted for something that was objectively morally correct, it was objectively morally correct. He got painted as an anti-Semite, as a Nazi, as a whatever. So imagine what the scrutiny and the criticism politicians will get if they're still in office. They'll get voted out in the primaries. They won't.
We're watching it right now.
They'll remove their funding.
Yeah.
AIPAC will remove their funding. They got voted out in the primaries. So, Bernie Sanders said himself, it's political suicide to vote against them at all. To take a stand against Israel, it's political suicide. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she had to resign because of her stance against Israel.
Yep.
Like she knew she was cooked in the primary. She knew she was not going to get reelected.
Yep.
So she resigned.
Trump's threatened to primary Massey how many times now? 6 times?
Yeah,
5 or 6
one of the
times?
last guys standing.
Dude, I think Thomas Massey is probably the last America First Patriot left in Congress, honestly. Yeah. I say that with total sincerity. Like, it's crazy to me. So let me ask you this. Do you think when you say that, Israel has us by the balls, Europe by the balls, do you think it's blackmail?
Yeah, of course. Part of it, yeah. I think part of it is blackmail. I don't think everybody is blackmailed. Like, I don't think everybody in Congress is blackmailed with like the Epstein files or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Epstein was a clear plant to get what we would call sextortion.
There's no question it was the largest, most expansive honeypot blackmail operation in human history.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 100% perpetrated by
He has
Mossad
so many
and CIA.
connections to Israel.
Yeah.
To the
And
former
they've
prime
proven that
minister
now.
before Netanyahu.
The email that just came out with, what was his name? What was the previous prime minister? Ehud Barak.
Yeah, Barak. Yeah.
Yeah. They literally, they've proven that he was working with him on
He visited him
blackmail
multiple
operations.
times.
Yep.
They have video and photo surveillance of him visiting Epstein. I don't know if he ever went to the island, but he visited him in the States. Epstein would visit them in Israel. He had so many connections to Israel. And I'm not saying, it was only, if Epstein was this plant to gather intelligence or blackmail on people, you can sell that.
For sure.
To whoever you want.
Yep.
And I think Israel was buying it. I think Israel was the main beneficiary of that blackmail ring because they could get dirt on politicians or powerful people like Prince Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
Trump, questionably in question, any other politician, what's his name?
From where?
I don't know why I'm blanking. President Clinton.
Oh, Clinton.
Yeah, he was on the flight logs.
Yeah,
there
like
were so many people
dude,
on the flight logs.
he was there what, like 18 times or something like that.
Yeah. So, dude, they had like did you see that painting of him in the dress?
Yeah. And they have pictures of him with like 16-year-old girls.
Mm-hmm. And they know that Epstein had hidden cameras.
Yeah.
In his massage rooms, in his bedrooms, in his living room, all over the island, he had hidden cameras. What the fuck are those for? Make that make sense, bro. The people who think that, like, I'm crazy for saying that this was a blackmail ring, what the fuck were the cameras for?
See, that's the thing, though. I don't think, I mean, anybody that says that they don't believe it was a blackmail ring at this point or operation, I think they're either staunch Zionists or they're just retarded, because honestly, there's zero chance that I think most people have come to grips with the reality that it wasn't a blackmail operation. I think we're at a point now where I think everybody realizes that Epstein was a blackmail operation,
because we don't have conclusive evidence or proof, but it's like, it's very obvious. Just fucking open your eyes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. For me, Epstein is everything. I mean, we still don't have the Epstein files. And it's like, why? There's no reason. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to actually address it. And people that do address it get freaking ousted immediately. It gets shut down. The best thing has been watching the MAGA right defend it.
And they were the ones that were like, oh, Trump's going to come in and drain the swamp and he's going to expose all these.
I honestly cannot. I mean, you said something earlier. You said that Israel claims to be the most moral army or whatever, the IDF. And what's so funny, dude, is I brought this guy up on my freaking stream last night. And look, I'm not the type of person that normally just goes after certain individuals, but recently I've been like targeting these people because I can't stand the hypocrisy, and I can't stand to watch the propaganda tour turn into the press pass. But straight up, like if you look at Cam Higbee, for example, right? So in July, he's making all these X posts and all these debates and everything about pro-Israel. He literally tweeted that the IDF is the most moral army in the history of the world. And then sure enough, in August, gets invited on the Israel tour, poses on the tank, does the whole thing in front
goes to the aid distribution
did the
site.
aid distribution video, all that stuff. And then sure enough, comes back to the States, runs his propaganda tour even further, gets the fearless campus tour, right? Gets to go to all these colleges. All of a sudden now he's propped up on Fox News. All of a sudden now he's going to the White House to be in the press conference. Now he's being propped up here. Now he's being propped up there. And then sure enough, in the last 2 days, I don't know if you caught this, but they just brought in all the 15-year-olds to be the freaking to be the press of the Pentagon, dude. He's one of them. He got a press pass to the Pentagon, the fearless media. And
there's pictures with him with Bibi. Like when Bibi had them all come to Israel and he was talking to them about like, we need to get TikTok back.
Yes.
We need to win the information war.
Yes.
He literally said that. He literally said we're losing the information war. Like we're losing the propaganda war.
He said we're losing the propaganda war.
Yes.
He did. It wasn't even information. He said the words, we're losing the propaganda war.
Yeah. And he's like, well, we did a good job. We're getting TikTok back with Oracle's acquisition of it.
That's right.
And he's like, next we need to work on X.
Yeah.
And we know Elon, we can talk to him.
Yeah.
And then YouTube.
Yep.
And he paid YouTube, $45 million for pro-Israeli ads.
Yep. They also bought a lot of, and I'm not sure the exact numbers or whatever, but AI, Google, and then, of course, we were just talking about this before, the geofencing campaign that they launched on America during the Charlie Kirk Memorial, which weirdly enough was also connected to Turning Point, like $4 million investment or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they're targeting Christians all over the country and sending them pro-Israeli ads and text messages to try and garner support and convince these Christians that they don't believe the right things. It's like, why do you do that? If you are truly telling the truth, you don't need to pay tons and tons of money to convince people that you're telling the truth. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, anyway, it's wild, bro. But like this whole thing with these propaganda influencers, right? I've said this so many times now, and I swear I'm a broken record, but it's what I believe. You're watching the modern day evolution of a politician. Like all the politicians that we hate We're watching the modern day evolution of them right now. The Talmud Tatums, the freaking Cam Higbees, the Vince, whatever that guy's name is, Vince Gow or whatever, I don't know what his freaking name is, the Laura Loomers, all of these people that are willing to say and do anything for the right press passes, the right credentials, the right or the right validation. Like these people, this is the thing about them. I truly believe this. I don't think they actually care about the money. I think these people are so dumb and so much of useless idiots that they actually don't really care about the money. They're all about the validation. They know the money will come later. Right now, all they care about is being in Fox News and being the news anchor and having the pass to the Pentagon and being able to be the guy or the girl, right? Having that public facing, notoriety or whatever. Yeah. They're so consumed with themselves, just like all these other politicians that we freaking hate. That's why they're so easily bought off. And then the money comes and it's amplified. And I think that that's what we're watching with these influencers. I think it's gone from, in the past, they were news anchors or media personalities or whatever. Now they're influencers.
Do you think they actually believe what they're saying? To an extent, I think they do.
I think some of them
they
do.
just buy into it.
I think some of them do, yeah.
Like they'll take them on these trips. Israel will literally pay for them to go on trips to Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
And show them, again, a skewed, one-sided view of the conflict of Palestine and Israel.
Yeah.
And they'll pay for their whole trip. They'll put them up in nice hotels. Mm-hmm. They'll take them to the fake distribution sites.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think they're kind of planting all this propaganda in their mind, and I think they're buying into it to an extent.
I think so. I think there's definitely some that don't. I think there's definitely some that
just do it for the money.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, even recently, bro, one of the people that went on that Israel tour was I don't know if you saw this, but was that chick Emily Saves America, and people were freaking wrecking her and saying she should be called Emily Saves Israel, but she was there, and recently she started like kind of turning the table on things, and she just got invited to Qatar for the F1 races, and like clockwork, dude, I called it. I genuinely believe that she just went for the races. I think she's just one of those influencers that got invited to Qatar for the races. But I called it. I said, watch what happens to Emily when she gets back from Qatar. All of the same people that propped her up and were all about Emily and Emily this and Emily that and being so pro-Emily, all the Zionists, they're going to attack her viciously when she gets back from Qatar. And sure enough, that's happening right now. And I literally said, Emily, can you see now? Can you see what's going on? She'll never respond. But like, that is what I'm saying that because I think that she's an example of somebody who didn't really believe it or buy into it, but got the free trip. Yeah. Went out there, got the wine and dine or whatever. And I think she just kind of realized what was going on. And even though she tried to kind of turn the tables on things, you see what happens, and these people wake up to it. And I think also that some of these people genuinely know what would happen if they turn face on them. Yeah. I mean, dude, like you want to get into that. Like that's, I cannot see how anybody can look at that assassination and not think that it had something to do with Israel and his stance changing.
All I know
Israel.
For certain is, Candace Owen talks about it a lot. Mm-hmm. And I try to keep up with what she talks about with regards to Charlie, because I know she has deep connection. I know you have connections with Turning Point as well. Mm-hmm. So I listen to her because I know she knows Charlie and she knows the family and she knows a lot of people at Turning Point. So I listen to what she has to say and I know it has merit. But what I know for certain is that the original narrative that the FBI gave us is fucking false.
That's the thing.
Like,
dude.
Whatever else you want to say, if you want to say it was Qatar, if you want to say it was a liberal, if you want to say that it was Israel or whoever, find your enemy and paint them as that. But all I know is it wasn't this kid on a rooftop with a 30-06, took his scope off, disassembled his rifle, put it in a backpack, hopped up on a roof, put it back together, put a scope back on that was completely, lost its BZO. When you take a scope off like that, it loses its essentially like its BZO. So you shoot the rifle with the scope and you adjust the scope. If you take it off, you fuck that up. Okay, it's not going to be accurate anymore. Yeah. So apparently he took the scope off, he disassembled the rifle, put it in a backpack, hopped up on the roof, reassembled it, took the shots, disassembled it, put it back in his backpack, ran off, reassembled the rifle.
Did he put it back in
threw
his pants?
the
Did he
woods.
put it in his pants at some point so he could walk around with it? That's what I heard.
Yeah,
He
apparently
shoved it in his
when he
jeans?
was walking, I think it was when he was going to the venue, he put it in his pants. But then he disassembled it, put it in his backpack, and then ran into the woods, reassembled it, threw it in the woods, left it there, and then
Showed up at Taco Bell in a gas station 30 miles away.
Yeah. If you believe that, like, you are just retarded.
I know,
So
dude.
whatever else you want to say it was, say it, but it wasn't that.
That's my thing, man. That's what I've been saying for a long time, because it's like, look, if any part of the narrative made sense, it would be one thing. Like if there was one piece of it that was like, all right, I can kind of see that, but literally nothing about what they have said, no part of the narrative makes any sense, any logical sense whatsoever. None of it. Especially since my sources are not just a turning point. Like I don't know if you've been following me on that too, but I had sources that were on the ground that day.
Yeah.
That have straight up said everything they're saying does not make any sense. All of us know that it doesn't make any sense. And then the other thing I've said is like, dude, if you want to convince people that your narrative is true, you don't pave over the crime scene 24 hours later, remove all the camera evidence from behind the scene immediately, put sweeping gag orders on every single law enforcement official and any potential witness that comes forward. And then you definitely don't say that you don't want to have cameras in the courtroom. like these are 4 very fundamental things that you don't do if you want people to believe your narrative. Right?
Yeah. And even the ballistics of what we saw, everybody saw that video.
Yeah.
Right? The way that whatever he got hit by wasn't a fucking 30-06, and this was not an entry wound.
No, it was an exit wound.
That is not an entry wound. Anybody who's in the military that had any combat role or any combat job who knows anything about ballistics knows that was not an entry wound.
Yeah.
An entry wound is going to be a small hole, and all that kinetic energy has to exit somewhere.
Yep.
So when you see instantly blood spurt out of the left side of his neck, that's an exit wound. That's kinetic energy coming through his neck and exiting out the left side of his neck.
Yeah.
That is not an entry wound.
The best explanation I saw, I can't remember who did it, but it was some former some vet that had like a lot of ballistics expertise. Basically what he said was he thinks he got shot from his 4.
Yeah.
And
I've heard those theories.
And it was a 223 or something similar that hit him in the hairline, so it was impossible to see in the video, and it came like this and out that way. That's
and the way he fell was this way.
Yeah, and not
it
only
would suggest that he got hit from the right.
Yep.
And that energy took his body to the left.
Even to the point where the other thing that the guy said, this is that exact same person that said it was from his 4. He said the other thing too that makes it more believable in that situation is if you notice his body, when he gets hit, his body tenses up like this because the bullet came in here and it hit his spine.
Yeah.
So
he was dead instantly.
Immediately, right? Caused I don't know what the term is, but whatever that term is that makes your body like freaking freeze up automatically and then out that way. My question to you too would be this. What do you say about the people who say that there wasn't enough blood? Because I've heard conflicting reports now. I've heard reports that there was a lot of blood on the ground and that the guys that were helping them supposedly were actually covered in blood, even though in the video it doesn't really look like they were. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't know. And dude, to be honest, there was so many like conspiracy theories coming out of the woodworks right away.
Yeah.
There was people saying that it was like
hologram.
a hologram and a trap door underneath.
Yeah, dude.
And I remember what I was doing. I was traveling at that time. I had something going on in my life, so I wasn't paying full attention to everything. And it was getting like so annoying with all these outlandish conspiracy theories that I kind of stopped paying attention for a bit. But with the blood thing, I don't know, because you do see that video of them carrying him to the vehicle, and you don't see any blood. Because I watched every video.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
I paused frame by frame and zoomed in. And like you don't see blood.
No, there's none.
That was weird. I don't know if they had good pressure on the wound, possibly, but you would expect to see blood dripping, right? Because if that is massive hemorrhaging coming from the femoral or the jugular.
Yes,
essentially that thing is.
Well, I mean, dude, he wasn't. I mean, here's the thing too. I'm not an expert by any means, but when I saw that happen, he was dead. That's the kind of wound that could happen in the emergency room, and you wouldn't save him.
Doctors literally said that.
He's dead.
Like doctors did an analysis of it, and he was dead on the chair.
There's so much blood. So so I will say this. I have heard the take where basically all of the blood spilled out onto the grass, and it was like there was blood, but all of the gushing had already happened. Like it was already just,
Mhm.
and so he was covered in blood, but not like it wasn't spewing still.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, he would have still been bleeding, like even in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they just had good pressure on the wound, and that's why we don't see like blood, as they're dragging him. I don't know. All I know is he got shot, not from the left side. That round had to have hit him from somewhere else. This was an exit wound. It was not a 30-06 because his head would have been blown off if it was.
Yeah.
He was dead before he hit the ground. And they rushed him to the hospital, and they were trying to tell us for hours, oh, he's in critical. He was dead.
Yeah, and not only that, dude, all the inconsistencies that came out after that.
No autopsy.
The amount of things that came out after that about the searches and the no autopsy and the freaking why did they not have an ambulance and why did they do it this way and why did they go to this hospital and like there's so many inconsistencies after that, especially, and the worst one of all was the Man of Steel bullshit. That the bullet got lodged in his body, and because of that, it didn't kill anybody behind him, and so he was a miracle. It was a miracle bullet. Like that all that is preemptive conditioning based on faith-based, bias. All they're doing is using people's faith to distract them from what's really going on. It happens all the time. Honestly, it happened with Butler too. I don't know exactly what happened with Butler. I'll just say, like, for me, it would be pretty hard to stage something like that. Like, you don't just dodge a bullet with your... I mean, I can't imagine that being staged. But I will say that they definitely used the same tactic as far as, like, propping Trump up as this, like, God saved him kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is all... It always falls completely on deaf ears because I'm like, this is absolute garbage. Because, especially with the Charlie thing, it's like, okay, if this was a miracle bullet or if this was like a God stepping in, well, then why wouldn't he just save Charlie?
They said the same thing about JFK, the magic bullet.
Exactly.
They always use something like that.
It's always the same thing. This is, look,
it's like it was God who protected the rest of the crowd. It was God that protected Trump. It was a magic bullet, and people just buy into it. Like,
of course they do. Hook, line, and sinker.
Fucking swerve around. Like you're just explaining. You're just trying to get away from what actually happened.
Well, and it's the same reason why so many people are so closed off to this. Like all of the people, this is the other thing that drives me absolutely insane right now. All of these influencers and all these media personalities and all of these people that were so gung-ho about every conspiracy under the sun for so long are now like attacking anybody that questions this one. They're viciously attacking anyone that dares question what actually happened with this. Tatum's one of them. Like, it's like, so you believe in all these other conspiracy theories, but this one you just, and I know why. Number one, it's I think it's partial loyalism to MAGA. But then the other thing is, I think it really just has a lot to do with the fact that, look, with some of these other conspiracy theories, it's only questioning their ideology. It's only questioning their opinion on race or culture or whatever. This one questions their cognitive dissonance on their faith and their religion.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's a whole other realm of what people are actually willing to believe and willing to talk about. And so it's really hard for people who are super staunch Christians to believe that something so evil could be existing and could be happening. And it's so much easier to just believe that Charlie was this catalyst to opening up so many people's minds to Christianity and like having this great awakening and this turning point, right? Like it's so much easier to believe the faith-based feel-good story and to discredit everything else and just to say, they're people of God and there's these pastors and they're just men of God and blah, blah. And it's like, bro, miss me with it, because some of the worst tragedies, the worst and most horrific crimes have been committed by men of God.
Exactly. Yeah.
Straight up.
It's like their eyes can see, but their mind is blind.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. And when it comes to conspiracy theories, this is where I always go. And I tell people this all the time. It always just comes down to motive. Like when the stuff starts flying about holograms and holes in the ground, it's like, why? Like what is the reason behind that? But what really makes sense to me, and I've laid this out so many times. Number one, one of the worst genocides and human tragedies and horrific events in human history has taken place. And the people who are responsible for it are absolutely losing the ability to convince everybody they need to that they didn't do it.
Yep.
And they're on a tear to propagandize everybody in the West and garner that same support that they've had for generations. And now they're starting to realize, okay, the two youngest generations, they're not on board with us. They're waking up. They know what's going on. We don't have the same power that we used to of this Hasbara. And so we have to convince the younger generations, just like we did their parents and their grandparents, that we are the moral army, that we are defending ourselves, that we're their greatest ally, that we're on board with Christianity, blah, 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 all the different lies. And so I'm sorry, the thing that makes sense to me most is Charlie Kirk was not only one of the most influential people to those younger generations.
To the youth
I would
of the
argue
right,
he's the most.
Yeah, he was the main voice of the youth of the right.
And he was effective.
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually getting to these kids. Not just the right, dude. He was getting to the left. He was getting to people from every walk of life and every side, and really, quite frankly, helping them see the truth. And like, he was one of the only people that could do it the way that he did. And so the fact that in 2023, he started waking up to what was going on with Israel. I mean, dude, his PBD podcast that he did.
He literally said there was
he literally
gonna ethnically cleanse Gaza.
Not only that, dude, he called out the freaking stand down.
Yeah, the stand down order.
He called out the stand down. And then if you watch his next 2 years, his evolution. And like, dude, I'm guilty of not liking Charlie Kirk. I am guilty of talking bad about Charlie Kirk, dude.
Yeah.
I slammed him so many times because of his Zionist bullcrap that I feel like he would pull all the time. And like, I'm guilty of it. But I will tell you, and I have proof, it's all over my social media. There were multiple times where I would see tweets or I would see like episodes of his podcast that he would do. And I'd be like, he's figuring it out, dude. Like he's trying not to say it, but he's figuring it out. And then sure enough,
Charlie was not dumb.
No.
Charlie was not dumb.
No, he was freaking smart, dude. And honestly, I feel bad because, this is one of those things I'm not like proud of, but for a long time, I went against him. And then in 2024, I think is when I started to really see, no, he's waking up. He doesn't want to say it. Like he's still kind of skirting the line because of donors or whatever it may be, but he's waking up. And I'll be honest with you, dude, I always bagged on Turning Point. Like every time I saw a Turning Point event, I made fun of it to the T, dude. When they put the gold statue of Trump up, I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And then the night that Trump won, and like let's be honest, I think a lot of us were in a place where we were stoked. We finally felt like we were getting the guy we wanted. We finally felt like all these things were going to happen.
I didn't vote for Trump this past time. I didn't vote at all.
I did because I believed it. I believed it hook, line, and sinker, dude. I thought he was going to do all the things. I thought Cash was going to do what he said. I got freaking.
I voted for him.
Like everybody else.
I voted for him once.
Yeah, no, I voted for him both times. I did.
Yeah.
But that being said, when that happened, I remember watching the video of Charlie Kirk sitting in his studio when they told him that Trump won. And say what you want about Trump, about whatever else. Like, I just remember thinking the reaction from Charlie was so real. And like, it was a genuine, I could tell that it was a genuine feeling of like, I did it.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, because he did.
He did.
He was one of the main reasons why Trump won.
100%, dude. All the campus tours. And I'll tell you what, dude, I may not have agreed with everything Charlie said, especially regarding Israel, but like the fact that he was willing to actually get out there and do the work and not just talk. Mm-hmm. That's what gave me, that's what made me realize that I respected him. And then especially when I saw all the stuff happen towards his death, right? Where he started calling it out. He started talking about the donors. He started talking about people are calling me an anti-Semite. Like if you go back and listen to these clips,
he started talking about open border policies pushed by Jewish donors.
Subversion of Christianity, subversion of the media.
He was clearly waking up to it. He had that it was like a Jubilee style video where he had a bunch of kids on.
Yep.
And he was asking them questions about Israel.
Oh, yeah. And the one guy says that he's converted from Judaism to Christianity. And he goes, yeah. Did you see what COVID does?
Yeah, he's like, let him go.
Yeah. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that to me, the fact that all that happened.
It's motive.
Yeah, dude. It's like
It's like we're told a narrative that we clearly know is false.
Yeah.
So now it's left up to, because we're not going to get the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's up to us to kind of like piece things together based upon
Yes.
what we know.
Yes.
And motive, opportunity, and intent.
But you're an anti-Semite for doing that.
Exactly. Dude, I get fried for it all the time.
That wall is red, bro. It is not black.
Yeah, you're not allowed to question things that are objectively like, yeah, exactly. Like,
That's
someone tells me
red.
the wall's fucking red.
It's
and I'm
red,
like,
dude,
it's
because
fucking
that little
not.
thing right there, it's red. It's not black, it's red.
Yeah, but if they say, no, it's red, you have to call it red. I'm like, no, it's not fucking red. I'm not seeing red. I'm seeing black.
Well, the red light,
Why
dude,
can't I
it's
question
red.
it? Yeah. So it's just crazy. I'm not even saying definitively that it was Israel.
No one
I don't
is.
know. Nobody's saying
No
that.
one is.
But when we're lied to blatantly and we're told a false narrative, and I know it's fucking false, I'm not stupid enough to buy into that. Okay.
Right.
So when I'm lied to blatantly, now I have to go out there and say, okay, what is the truth? And I look at all the factors and I look at who has motive, opportunity, and intent, and I can kind of derive my own interpretation and through my own discernment and say, well, it's likely that it could be this group or these people. But I'm not saying definitively that it is.
No one is.
Okay.
That's the thing. No one is. And anybody that is, quite frankly, I'll tell you right now, if you're watching this and you're listening to this, if you are following somebody who is saying that they know definitively that this is the group that killed Charlie Kirk, don't follow them. They're wrong.
Yeah.
Like nobody can say for sure that these people killed Charlie Kirk, but you can absolutely say, hey, all signs point to the fact that this group stood to gain the most from this guy not being alive. All signs point to this group being the ones that were the highest donors, that he himself admitted before he died were pulling out on him because he was willing to platform people like Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. And then sure enough, right after he dies, all of the people that are so close to him, that are supposed to be his closest people and his best friends and blah, 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 they're going on these massive podcast campaigns talking about how he was a pro-Zionist and how he wanted Israel. And
there's an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence.
And all of them stood to gain the most financially. And that's what I'm getting at. The age-old tale of follow the money, it's not just a statement. Like every single conspiracy theory, when you really trace it back, the truth is always in the middle for me. And in the middle is where the money is. The money is in the middle. The money is in the middle. I always say that. Like, look at every conspiracy theory, and if you look at the middle, it's where the money is, and that's where it always makes sense for me.
Yeah, and I remember the day after it happened, I know I was one of the first people to talk about this. Basically, after it happened, I knew that the left was going to be painted with the blame for this. I knew the right was going to be pissed off. I knew the left was going to be pissed off. I knew what happened was going to cause more political divide amongst the Commonwealth people.
Yep.
Which is something that on my page, I always try to fight against. I'm always trying to like unite the right and the left, the Christians and the Muslims, to find common ground so that we're not just at each other's throats. And I knew that whoever did this was going to paint a picture that it was left versus right. And we, the Commonwealth people, needed to be at each other's throats.
That's
and
right.
I said on my Instagram, I didn't say, oh, this is Israel, we need to be attacking them. I didn't say that. I didn't even make any claims of who it was or who it might be. I was just like, whoever did this, they're going to use it as propaganda to pin us against each other. And that's exactly what happened.
That's
For
what
like
always
2 straight
happens.
weeks.
Yep.
All I saw was Charlie Kirk videos on my feed. And it was the people on the left literally cheering and clapping and egging on the right and literally saying like, oh, I hope his wife is next. I hope his kids are next. Anybody who supported Charlie, I hope you're next. You know, like I posted a reaction video right after it happened because I was working out in my gym when I first saw it. And I saw the video and I stood up from my machine and I went to the posing room and I made a quick reaction video, basically saying that political violence is not the answer. I disagreed with Charlie on a lot of things, and I know a lot of people did, but political violence is not the answer. And I was like, he has a wife and kids, and like, this is not how we do things.
That's right.
And I had lost like 20,000 followers that month just for saying that you shouldn't kill a man because you disagree with him.
It might have been right. Well, no, I think it was before that I followed you. But I was going to say, I also did a similar video. I'm not sure if you saw it, but what I did was because I will say this. I will say it definitely divided people.
Yes.
But I think something else happened that they didn't count on. And that was for a very brief moment, it actually kind of united the right and the left because the right and the left finally recognized that there were people on both sides, predominantly on the left, that were truly evil.
Oh, dude, it exposed a lot of
It
people.
exposed the good versus the evil in a major way. And I made a reaction video too, because what I did was one day I got on my Instagram and I saw a bunch of these like random like fitness dudes and like All these guys that have major followings
who aren't in politics.
They were not in politics at all. They were big dudes too. And they were like big followings. And they literally were like, some of them were actually saying what you're saying. They were like, I lost 10,000 followers last night simply because I said we shouldn't kill people. And he's like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he said something like, one of them said, if you think that I'm worried about that, then you don't know who I am, because I absolutely, not only do I not care that I lost those followers, I don't want you to follow me if that's how you believe.
Same.
And so I will say it definitely united people in a big way. And I mean, quite frankly, dude, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on this podcast, was because one of the most important messages that I have been trying to spread through my brand, through my messaging, through everything, is that it's like, we have to unite the good.
Yeah.
You know, you have on the Muslim side, on the Christian side, on the Jewish side, like you have people in every single group that are good. And then you have the people that are just evil or influenced by evil.
Yeah, they're just people shaking the jar, getting us mad at each other.
Yeah, dude.
And when the jar is shaking, I'm trying to be like, yo, everybody calm the fuck down. Like they're shaking the jar right now. They want you to attack your neighbor.
Well, and
people fall into it. And when I say that, I got fucking attacked.
I know. And the reason why is because what they want the good fighting against each other, so that we can never actually recognize who the evil is.
Yes, exactly.
And
they want us focused on each other.
Yes.
And what that will do is that will keep us distracted from what's really going on and the people who are actually pulling the trigger on stuff.
And we need to unite the good. We need to unite all of the people that are good. That may be Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, atheist, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, freaking, I don't care what you are. There's good people in every single group. And if we can just come together and actually unite the good, we might be able to see the evil. But they don't want that. That is the ultimate agenda of whatever you want to call it, the cabal, the elite, the freaking whatever, whoever's pulling the strings, because I promise you someone's pulling the strings. I believe that 100%, because I believe that those people are actually influenced directly by, you know, whether you believe in Satan or the adversary or evil or whatever, like that is the goal. I think that the ultimate goal of evil is to eradicate free agency from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
To make it so that not only are you not making decisions, but you don't want to make the decisions, and you kind of just go along with this whole thing. And part of that, the easiest way to do that is to create so much discord and so much chaos and so much hate and so many things that are the opposite of the fruits of the spirit, right? Mm-hmm. In every person, in every walk of life. Because then it creates this society that is like begging for an answer, begging for the easy way out, right? It creates apathy, it creates entitlement, and it creates this society that's become just completely, you know, docile, to the point where it's like, tell us what to do and we'll do it. Tell us what to believe and we'll believe it. And if anybody doesn't do that or doesn't believe that, they're the enemy.
Yeah. It's like when you try to point out the people who are shaking the jar, you're the enemy now.
Yeah.
Or like you're the anti-Semite, or you're the conspiracy theorist, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When that's always their agenda, is to get the people against each other so they can keep doing what they want. And they're doing the same thing with like all this Islamophobia in America.
Yeah. Which
I'm not a Muslim.
Talk on that. I
don't agree with Islam. I'm a Christian.
Yeah, you're Orthodox Christian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk on that, because it's funny. I actually made a post. I made a comment on one of your posts, and it got a ton of likes, and I actually got so much hate from it.
You will, yeah.
I said that I've never met a Muslim that has been hateful or mean, like, ever.
If there's anything that I've talked about that is controversial, it's this topic.
Let's do it.
Like,
piss people off. Let's go, bro. Yeah. Let's go, dude.
Like,
let's
roll.
Let's roll.
You can't talk about this without receiving, hate.
Good.
It is one of the most fine lines to walk. But I view this as a big topic that needs to be addressed, and I've tried to address it more on my page. But here's my stance. I'm a Christian through and through. I do not agree with Islam. I think Islam is a false religion. I think Muhammad was led astray by a demon, essentially, to write the Quran. He essentially plagiarized from the Torah and the Bible to write the Quran. And yeah, I don't agree with Islam, but I love Muslims, okay? So as Christians, we're called to love our enemy and pray for those who persecute us, right? And that goes along with atheists, Jews, Muslims, whoever. So we as Christians are held to a higher standard to love those people. And what has been going on in this country for so long, ever since 9/11, is this Islamophobia, right? Where we're told that Muslims are the greatest threat to the world and that it's the terrorists in the Middle East who live in a little cave who don't even know that America exists on a map that are our greatest enemy and they want to wipe out America, right? We had no problems with the Middle East until after 1948. Why? Because the state of Israel became a thing, right? They're the ones propagating all this nonsense and all these fucking wars in the Middle East through the neocons, through Dick Cheney, right? They're the ones who fucking start shit in the Middle East with the Muslims and then pull us into it. And then that's what makes the Muslims actually hate us. The Muslims didn't attack us on 9/11 because they hated apple pie and baseball. That's not what fucking happened, you know?
Yeah.
They didn't just attack us out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But what they've done ever since 9/11 is they've weaponized Islamophobia to get us looking at Muslims as the biggest enemy. And therefore, we need to support Israel because they're our one ally in that region who can, hold the Muslims at bay. That's the picture that's painted ever since 9/11. And they're trying to re-spark that propaganda narrative because after Gaza, we have seen that Muslims, not all Muslims are these evil people that want to chop off our heads and be jihadists.
There are those,
and I'm going to get to that,
yeah.
right? Because people are already clipping this and probably, making clips that I'm a Muslim lover or whatever. But there are those. There are, evil jihadist Muslims that do want to kill the infidel. That exists. I'm not saying it doesn't.
Yep.
Right? But it's not the biggest problem in the world, and it's not something that we need to unite with Israel on to defend or hold at bay from America being destroyed from Muslims. And what they're doing now is because of Gaza, because of America waking up to what's going on with Israel and turning their back on Israel, they're trying to now garner support by propping up more fear-mongering against Muslims. We saw Tommy Robinson, who's this Englishman who's a white Christian nationalist who is literally supported and funded by Israel to spew up all this Muslim hate.
So how is he supported and funded by Israel? Because if that's the case, I want you to be really clear about how and why, right? I don't want to say anything and not know, how do we know that?
I haven't seen bank transfers or transactions, but
what leads you to believe it?
Because they've sent him to Israel multiple times. He went on a trip there recently and did a long video series on YouTube.
I saw
where
that.
Essentially he was going around on this tour led by the Israelis, basically saying that, he went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is the place where Christ was crucified and buried. And he was saying, man, if this was in control of the jihadists or the Palestinian Authority or the Muslims, we wouldn't have religious freedom. We wouldn't have the right to come here.
I saw that.
Dude,
didn't you clip that?
I clipped it. The church is literally
You were
the
talking about
custodians of the church is two Muslim families.
Yeah. Dude, that was one of my favorite videos you've ever made.
Yes. He
was so eye-opening.
He stuck his foot so far in his fucking mouth in that video, bro.
Yeah.
Because he literally said, if the Muslims were in charge of this church, we wouldn't be. They're literally in charge of the fucking church. They're the custodians. They hold the keys to the church.
Post that video. Remind me to get you the video from Clyde's page about the Muslims running the church in Jerusalem.
So yeah, they don't run the church per se, but they're the custodians of the keys to the church. The church is run by 5 different Christian churches: the Eastern Orthodox, the Coptic Orthodox, the Catholics, the Oriental Orthodox, and a couple other churches who run and maintain the church, right? But the custodians of the church are 2 Muslim families that hold these keys, and they've had them for over 100 years, I think.
You know what's really interesting is I had seen the movie. What the hell is it called now? Why am I having a brain fart? I knew I would as soon as I thought that. Kingdom of Heaven. I had seen that movie a long time ago. After I watched your reel about the Muslim family running that church, I went and watched it again.
Yeah,
because I remembered something about that movie, and I know it's Hollywood, whatever, but I remember something about that movie, and it was that I remembered the fact that it brought real nuance to the conflict between the Christians and the Muslims. Because it was a bloody, how many years, I don't even know.
8 centuries.
But eventually it turned out to be, the Muslims won, but they still respected the Christians in a way where they, correct me if I'm wrong, but they promised to keep all those holy sites, holy for the Christians.
That's a very nuanced topic too, and I can get into that because I think that the movie Kingdom of Heaven paints a little bit of a false narrative.
Interesting.
I think that
Such a good movie,
somebody like Saladin was a magnanimous character.
Saladin was the leader, right? The one ultimately.
Saladin was the leader who took Jerusalem in the movie, which is a real event. And he's painted as this magnanimous figure. And sure, he's more magnanimous than other Islamic leaders and leaders of the caliphate at that time, but not as magnanimous as mainstream history would have you believe.
Okay, interesting.
But I want to get back to the
Yeah.
point
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Tommy
derail you.
Robinson. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So with Tommy Robinson, you have people like him who are openly. I don't know how much he's like getting paid by Israel, but he's supported. Like they send him on trips to Israel, and he's always talking about Islamic extremism and the threat of Islam and all this stuff, which I think it is a threat in England. I think that mass immigration from third world countries is a threat in England and in broader Europe, which is another nuanced topic. That
Ireland, there's no question that it is.
Yes.
But my thing, and we can get to this, my thing is always, but why?
Bingo.
But I'm not allowed to ask that question.
I tried to say why, and I got attacked.
Of course you
and
did.
I got told, I was a white Christian nationalist who hates all other races.
Yep.
Not
of
the
course.
case at all. I tried to give the most deep analysis and nuanced answer as to why we're seeing
It's
what we're
the
seeing.
same bullcrap that Daryl Cooper gets all the time, dude. Daryl Cooper is one of, you know who he is, right? Martyr Made?
No.
Oh, you need to follow him like yesterday. He does some of the most, he's been on Joe Rogan like 2 or 3 times. He does some of the best, he's the best research person when it comes to history that I have found. I mean, he does like 16-hour deep dives on World War II.
Yeah.
But he shows both sides. Anyway, what I'm getting at is like, that's always the way that they attack you, right? It's you're not just being nuanced. You're not just trying to find the truth in every situation and understanding that things aren't just black and white. No. You're just hateful. You're just this. You're just that.
Yeah.
It's
They'll
just-
throw out ad hominems to
it's
try to
smoke
silence me,
screens,
but I
dude.
don't
It's
fucking
nothing
care.
but
They can
smoke
call me
screens.
whatever they want. I'm just
Yeah.
going to expose the truth
Yeah, exactly.
and the nuance of what the situation really is.
Exactly.
But with characters like Tommy Robinson and this other guy, what was his fucking name? The guy who went to Dearborn, Michigan.
Oh,
Did you see that?
yeah. Is it Ryan?
I made a video on him. I can't remember his
I had
name.
somebody reach out to me actually that knows him personally and said anything this guy says is a lie.
Yeah, so that guy was a part of the January 6th
Yes. Which, by the way,
insurrection.
okay, man, we're jumping all over the place, but like the January 6th thing, at this point, do we even believe that was a real thing? Not only, we know that there were like embedded FBI or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, do we even believe that those people were actually in prison? Because they had social media accounts, they were doing podcasts, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
January
I
6th just
haven't
feels
dove
like
too deep into January 6th.
completely fake and gay at this point.
But with regard to that guy who went to Dearborn, who poses as a white Christian nationalist,
What was his name?
He was at the January 6th. He was at the Capitol on January 6th. I think he said he got arrested and Trump pardoned him.
Yes.
But that guy is a Jew. He's Jewish. He's literally Jewish. And not that that's what makes him a bad person, but he's posing as a white Christian nationalist who is attacking Islam in America. And he went to Dearborn, and he was going to lead this riot in Dearborn. And basically, he went around with a Bible and a big cross, and he was saying that we don't want you guys in our country. Go back to your country.
Yeah, and that
all
press
of this stuff.
Yes.
I've been to Dearborn. It's a nice town. I don't agree with Islam. I want America to be predominantly Christian. That's not what I'm saying. But Dearborn is not a place full of a bunch of jihadist extremists. It's a nice town. You have Christians there too. It's just predominantly a town full of people from the Middle East. So immigrants from the Middle East. So you have Palestinians there, Christian Palestinians there. You have Lebanese Christians there. You have Syrian Christians there. But you also have Muslims there. So it's just a place in Michigan that is the biggest melting pot of Muslims and immigrants from the Middle East. Okay, so it's not this evil place. It's a nice town. They got a lot of nice food there, nice people. And so this guy went there, who's posing as a Christian nationalist.
What the hell was his name?
He was going to tear down the Islamic extremists there, and the original guy who orchestrated the riots or the protest, he went there preemptively and he was like, "Hey guys, it's actually not that bad here. These people are pretty nice."
Who was that?
I can't remember his name, but the guy who actually orchestrated the whole protest, he went
Jake
there.
Lang.
Jake Lang. So Jake Lang is the Jewish guy who posed as this Christian nationalist.
Yep.
But the ringleader who started the movement to go to Dearborn, he went there like a week prior and he saw it for what it was. And he was like, "Guys, there's no need to come." But yeah, that ringleader guy went there and he saw it. It wasn't a big deal. They were nice people. And they're just practicing their First Amendment rights. You know, I think they have a First Amendment right and stuff, but they're not out there like imposing Islam on other people. They're just living their life.
You're referring to all the praying in the streets and like
well, that
all
I
that
don't
kind of stuff,
necessarily agree
right?
with. But if they want to go to the mosque and pray, I can't say anything about that.
Why should you have to say? I mean, that should be a saying that someone can't go to their place of worship and worship is completely against American values.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with it.
You don't have to agree with
that's
it.
That's their First Amendment right.
It's just
They're an
like-
American citizen that have the freedom of religion.
Listen,
I may not agree with it, but that's their right.
I said some controversial shit too when it came to. I'll tell you.
We're gonna get fried for this, bro.
I
Just
can't
you
wait. I can't wait. So here's the thing that I said that relates to this. It's the whole thing. Remember back I can't remember when it was, but when people were burning the American flag, I said, "Listen, I hate that.
Yeah,
I
me too.
absolutely hate that with every fiber of my being because I appreciate our veterans and I love our country and like burning the American
three
flag."
flag draped coffins come home from my last deployment.
Yeah, it's disgusting to even think that people would do that. But guess what? It's their First Amendment right to do so.
It is.
They
yeah.
absolutely have the right to do that. And the minute that we try to tell somebody they can't do that, it's a slippery slope.
Mhm.
And what else is
Yes.
not okay?
Yep.
At that point, are we not allowed to burn this? Again, it's that nuance, right? Where it's like, you don't have to agree with it, but you absolutely have to respect their right to do it because this is America. And that's why we don't get thrown off a building for being gay, right?
Exactly,
If you're
yeah.
gay, you get thrown off a building in other places. Here, you can be gay and you don't get thrown off a building.
Yeah.
Just a small example.
If they want to practice their religion and they're an American citizen and they've gone through the proper procedures to come here legally and gain citizenship,
then you absolutely should
and
be able to do so.
they want to practice their religion in their mosque, I don't agree with it, but that's their right. But my issue is if immigrants or people are coming here and they don't want to assimilate and they want to impose their,
That's a whole other story.
that's a whole
because
nother
that makes
topic.
because that's when you actually become a domestic terrorist.
Yes.
That's when you actually become a threat to our society.
Yes, if you
and
can't
you are not
assimilate-
welcome
yeah.
here.
If you can't assimilate to American society and American culture, that's where I draw the line.
Exactly.
That's the problem. And when you're imposing your foreign beliefs and foreign ideologies onto us and you're trying to change our society, that's where I draw a fucking
So
line.
do you believe that's happening in Dearborn? Because I'll be honest with you, I actually have not dug into Dearborn nearly as much because when I first heard about it, dude, it's another one of those things where because the right was screaming it from the rooftops, I just almost immediately shut it out because to me, it just seemed like it was another freaking, BLM.
It is like a propaganda scheme by
Yeah.
the Israeli lobby.
Yeah.
Because they want us to hate Muslims. But no, I don't think in Dearborn that they are imposing their beliefs and not necessarily assimilating. I've been to Dearborn a couple times. I used to live in Michigan.
I've been to Dearborn. Yeah.
They're nice people. They follow the law. They've assimilated to society. They're not
I didn't
out
even
there.
realize it was that big of a Muslim population there. I didn't even have a clue until I
Yeah.
heard about this.
It's not like you drive in there and you just feel like you're in, Baghdad or something. Like that's not what it is. You feel like you're in an American town, but there's a lot of Muslims there.
Interesting. You know where there's also a lot of Muslims, which is I think why I just my wife's from Calgary. There's tons of Muslims in Canada.
Yeah.
There's tons of it's just not, I don't know.
But I do have a problem with them if they are like they're doing this in New York. I have friends that live in New York. When they're out there blocking the streets.
That's a whole other story.
That's a whole other story.
It's a whole other story.
That
You
I
don't
have
do
a
that.
problem with.
Yeah.
If there were Christians out there blocking the highway or blocking streets and praying and just like whipping their religious dick out, essentially, I would be like, bro, get out of the fucking road.
Yeah, but guess
go
what?
pray in your house. Go pray in
But
your
guess what the
church.
Christians and the people that are attacking the Muslims would say of that?
What?
They wouldn't be opposed to it. They would defend it.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
just I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm just like jaded at this point and I just see hypocrisy at every corner, but I just feel like that would be a thing. Like if it was Christians that were praying in the street, they would say, no, that's our right. The United States of America was built on Christianity. It's one nation under God, blah, 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 blah. And so it's totally okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Like I pray in public, and I don't think anybody
So
should
do
have I think I should have that right.
Yeah.
But
But you don't have the right to block traffic.
Yeah, when I'm like when I'm hindering other people and their freedoms, that's where you have to draw the line.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like proselytizing in the streets and be like, you need to be a Christian or you're going to hell.
Yes.
This is a Christian country. Like you draw a line with that too.
Yeah.
So when Muslims come here and they don't assimilate and they want to just be, whipping their religious dick out, for lack of a better term, and praying in the streets and going around saying like, we shouldn't sell pork in these restaurants or these, grocery stores, and they're trying to boycott pork or something, which isn't a huge problem, but it does happen. But when people are doing that, that's where I draw the line. Like if you're going to come to this country, another person's home, you're going to come into this home and try to change it and not assimilate, no matter where you come from, Africa, Middle East, Asia, you can come from Japan. It doesn't matter. If you're trying to impose your beliefs and change what America is and you don't want to assimilate, that's where I draw a line.
You're not
that's where
welcome.
I have a problem.
Yeah. And it's no different, dude. I bring this back because it's just the easiest. It's the easiest topic to relate it to, and also the one that the right is so charged about. But it's literally the same as the LGBTQ stuff, right? Like, respect the fact that they want to live the life they want to live, and they want to do what they want to do behind closed doors. But if you're a grown ass man naked in the streets in front of a bunch of kids, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
I don't agree
why
with,
can't people
I don't agree
just
with pride parades and all that stuff?
No.
I'm a Christian, right? But
I mean, here's the thing. I don't agree with it, but if you're having a parade, okay, I'm not going to stop you from having a parade. Just don't be naked. Don't have your dick hanging out in front of a bunch of kids.
In front of kids and stuff.
If you want to dress like a unicorn and freaking crawl on all fours in the street for 2 hours,
Yeah.
be my guest. Who the hell cares? Don't propagandize my kids.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to see your dick. It's just like when we were kids and we were watching a movie and our parents would go like this if there was something on the screen, right? Where the hell has society gone?
Yeah, I remember my dad covered my eyes during Transformers 1 when Megan Fox was lifting up the hood,
Oh, dude, come on,
And
Dad.
now we have dudes whipping out their yeah.
That was an opportunity, dude.
Yeah, I'm going like, hey, bro. But, yeah, when they're out here just like shoving it down your fucking throat, like that's where you have to draw a line. You got dudes out here in
With
thongs,
anything.
literally twerking on these parade floats in front of kids and
Yeah,
stuff.
man. And it's with anything. It's religion.
it's with anything.
It's ideology. It's whatever it is. You have the freedom of expression and the freedom of speech in the United States of America. What you don't have is the freedom to impede on others' freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. But that goes both ways.
Yeah. But here's the thing with this whole like, mass immigration thing, which you're...
Yeah, so, sorry, I derailed you.
We're seeing an uptake of like nationalism.
Yeah.
And what people call white nationalism
Mm-hmm.
or also white Christian nationalism. You're seeing a huge uptake of that. And so I have tried to explain what that is and the origins of it to give nuance and context of why we're seeing it and why we're seeing a counter argument to that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it on your feed, but there's a lot of people who are becoming like these far right extremist white nationalists.
Yes.
You see people like on the far extreme, like Gypsy Crusader,
Yep.
which I totally disavow. I think he is just a hateful person.
Yeah.
Right. But then you have people who are a little more toned down.
I mean, Gypsy Crusader is a legit, like, he's just a straight up racist and
He is, yeah.
and Nazi.
Like I've literally seen him like on Omegle,
Yeah, I've watched-
yelling at kids, calling them the N-word.
Yeah, dude, and he legitimately just hates people that aren't white.
Yeah.
I mean, he like that's
like the farthest extreme I can think of. But you have other people who
Yeah.
are, quote unquote, white nationalists.
Yes.
And there's a spectrum.
Yeah.
There's a spectrum of these white nationalists
Yeah.
and where they stand and their viewpoint and ideology. And you have the far right extreme like Gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the people who are like, I'm a white nationalist. I think that my country has and always been a whitely predominant country, and I'd like to preserve our culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing devil's advocate and explaining these people's position. So for those people, they're seeing a large influx, and we've seen a large influx of immigration in America and a huge influx of immigration in Europe, in white Christian countries. These are white countries that have been Christian forever.
Yep.
And you're seeing a large influx of immigrants from the third world and Muslim countries flooding those borders and coming into those countries, and they don't want to assimilate.
Mm-mm.
They want to change the country's laws. They want to impose Sharia law. They want to, boycott these restaurants or companies. That
And they're
sell
attacking
pork.
people in the
They're
streets.
attacking people.
They're robbing them in the
We're
streets.
seeing-
They're
we're seeing
knifing them.
increase of knife attacks. Like,
Yep.
dude, look at
It's bad.
look at London.
It's bad.
London in the 1960s or the 1990s or the 1980s, it's a completely different city.
Yep.
Have you ever been there?
I've never been to London, but I've been to like Paris and stuff. Never been to
London
London.
is a very diverse place,
Yeah.
and we're seeing a lot more problems.
I just see what I see online, but
Yeah, you're seeing stabbings, robbings, all of these things. It used to be a nice homogenous society
yeah.
because they had one culture, one society that could be on one page and
Yeah.
agree with that culture and society.
Mm-hmm.
They just happened to be white Christians,
Yep.
but they agreed there.
Yeah.
But when you open up the borders and the floodgates and you allow all of these third world migrants to come in,
It changes things.
it changes things because they don't assimilate.
No,
you
and-
have people coming from Afghanistan who literally think that, I've heard Navy SEALs tell stories where they're talking to like Afghanis and they're talking about, how America went to the moon, and they're like, the moon's this size. How could you put
Dude,
a man
I'll
up there?
I'll tell you a crazy story that'll put this in complete perspective. I actually had a guy on my podcast. I think it was like my 4th episode or something. He worked in Air Force intelligence, and he had a bunch of buddies that were actually part of like they did the interrogations of some of these terrorists in these caves in Afghan war or whatever, right? He said that one of his buddies told a story about how they had a terrorist and they were basically interrogating him to try and figure out where the village was or whatever, where his buddies were, whatever it was. And they wheeled in a TV
yeah.
with Jurassic. Did I tell you about this?
No,
with,
but I've heard plenty of stories
with
like this.
Jurassic Park, the scene of the T-Rex where the T-Rex eats the guy off the toilet. They showed him this video clip, this movie clip from Jurassic Park, and they said, if you don't tell us where your buddies are, we have dinosaurs and we will unleash them on your village.
Yeah.
And he believed them.
Yes,
So,
bro.
so yeah, dude. And like,
So those people,
Yeah.
and I need to get to this point because I know there's a lot of people clipping this and making, hateful videos of me. But
who cares?
my point is like, the borders have been opened up and you see all these third world migrants coming in and they don't want to assimilate or they can't assimilate. They don't have education. They don't understand the culture of the society, and they just want to bring their culture into that country, into England or France or Germany or wherever, and then turn Germany into India or Pakistan or whatever, right? They don't want to assimilate. Now, I have a problem with people who don't want to assimilate. I don't hate brown people. I don't hate blacks or Mexicans or whatever. And there's nuance to this. The reason that we're seeing such a large influx of immigrants coming to first world countries, coming to the Western countries is why? Where did it start? Destabilization of their home country. And who did that? Us. The neocons start wars in the Middle East. We bomb them. We prop up, corrupt politicians in their home country. We plunder their resources and we turn their country into a shithole. And we don't allow them to prosper in their own homes. And then what happens? We create this refugee vacuum. And all these refugees need to go somewhere because their home has been, turned into a shithole, bombed and corrupted, and it's, there's, no economic opportunities there. So they flee. Where do they go? They go to the West that has open borders. And who's opening the borders? It's left-wing politicians. So the right-wing neocons are causing the conflict and destabilizing it, and then the left-wing politicians are opening up the borders, and now you see all these migrants flooding into these Western
And it's almost like
countries.
this has happened multiple times throughout history.
Yeah.
And it's almost like most people are just waking up to the fact that this is another modern day example of that, and that the left the borders open for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're dealing with all the problems we're dealing with.
Hey guys, if you are watching this and you are enjoying this conversation and all the other ones that we have, please don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you're following along. We have a lot of other cool interviews coming up. I'm always trying to bring you guys just an honest conversation where we talk about the things that a lot of people are not willing to talk about in a way that most people can. So please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, continue to follow along, and I just appreciate all the support, guys.
And what's the solution to the problem? More war,
Yep.
more division,
Yep.
more
we
contention.
see these immigrants come in. Let me give you a perfect example. The 2 National Guard soldiers that got shot in D.C., that happened about 15-minute walk from my house.
Really?
Okay? Yes. They got shot by an Afghan.
He was part of the Kandahar strike team.
Yes. He worked with our special forces. He worked with our
tell
military.
people really quick who that is, if you know more about it than I do, because I've tried to explain it. But basically, from what I understand, the Kandahar strike team was like, it was like the Afghani nationals that we brought in as like part of the
interpreters.
Is it kind of like the movie The Covenant that they did about the guy that saves saves them or whatever. They were like interpreters, and they were also basically just on our side to help us fight the Taliban, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they were highly trained and highly informed.
Highly trained is questionable. But anyways.
As much as you can be, I guess.
Yeah. So essentially we would recruit Afghan locals and they would work with the military. They might be in a stack breaching homes or breaching, buildings or whatever. They might be like security elements for if we go in, Marines go in and they take a town and we consolidate in the town. There might be security elements there. They were interpreters. They worked with us a lot. And so when these Afghan nationals worked with the U.S. government, they would become an enemy of the state. They became an enemy of the Taliban. And so there were bounties on those guys' heads, those Afghanis.
That's why there's so many problems when we left Afghanistan, right? Because we left so many of our allies
left them there and they got their heads chopped off,
Yep.
which was a problem. I think if they were there helping us, we should give them some sort of restitution. We should give them something, right?
Yeah, we pulled the rug out from under them.
Yeah. So a lot of them we left for dead, but a lot of them we brought home. Mm-hmm. We gave them asylum, essentially, in America.
This was one of them.
And this guy was one of those people who worked with our military. He worked with special forces. I don't exactly know his role, but he worked with our government.
I've read things online where people that live next to him, neighbors, were saying how he was like a super friendly, very respectful person, had a family. He was just or maybe he had family, I can't remember. But he was not, they did not see him as a threat or a danger at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't delved super deep into what was the motive behind that guy and his intentions.
Because that's what I wonder.
But the point I'm trying to get to is what happened. Again, they're trying to paint narratives so that we can hate the Middle East and we can hate Muslims, right? So this guy goes out and he shoots 2 National Guardsmen. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, this pisses off Americans. This pisses us off, and it makes us think that, we need to go and we need to wipe them out. We need to have more wars in the Middle East.
Yeah,
it's just propaganda to get us fear-mongering, to get us to support another war in the Middle East.
And there's been 2 more. There's been 2 more. I don't know since or before, but there's been 2 more incidents of Afghani nationals being caught with explosives that they were supposedly going to use to blow up malls or whatever. There was one that I literally saw today that came out yesterday.
Yeah, so it could be a false flag to garner, the hearts and minds and the support of the American people.
I think they're building up to one.
Yeah. Candace Owens said that she's expecting second week of December, a 9/11 style attack.
I really think, dude, and I've actually been saying this for a long time. I think that the narrative for the Zionists has crumbled so hard, and for the neocons so hard, that they have to have another 9/11 style event. Mm-hmm. Because what it's going to do is, if you think about it, they realize they cannot fight against this America First movement. America First movement is growing at a rate that they cannot stop, and that is the ultimate threat to their agenda. Because going back to about dividing people, right? America First, that idea of America First actually has the ability. True patriotism, which is ultimately America First, has the ability to unite people on every single side. They know that, and so it's kind of like, if you can't beat them, join them. And so my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think they're building up to something like that again, because what it will do is it will create another 9/12. And I talk about this all the time. 9/12, it didn't matter who you were standing next to. It didn't matter what side of the aisle you were on. Like, you were American, you were a patriot, and you had a common enemy. And they need that again so bad.
Yeah, they need that common enemy. They need that big scapegoat.
That fake patriotism.
Yeah, to win over the American hearts and minds.
Yep.
And so I think, stuff like that can be used, whether this Afghan guy was a plant or whether they used MK Ultra on him or something, I don't know. But whatever the case, they're going to spin that in a way to get our support against Muslims and Afghanis and the Middle East.
Do you think it's working? Because I don't.
It works with the brain dead people who just buy into the psyops.
Do you think there's enough of them? Or do you think we outnumber them? Do you think the people that can see through the bullshit outnumber those?
Dude, I question that every day, because I'll talk about these things as this is a clear psyop, and people just are like, you're retarded. You're just a Muslim lover. You're just a whatever lover, or you're just a Jew hater. I'm like, no, it's just a fucking psyop, man. Open your fucking eyes. So I don't know. I think it might be 50-50. But if they do something like 9/11,
it's going to change everything. Because what I was going to say, I forgot to say this, but what I was going to say in addition to that is, not only would they ignite this spirit of like patriotism, right? Because you basically, at that point, you do have a common enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's manufactured or not, that's a reality. What it will also do is completely cut the legs out from under the people that are America first. It's going to cut the legs out from under Tucker, from under Candace, from under Thomas Massey, from under all these people, because it's going to force them. They will not be able to fight against that, because the minute that they start to try and push against that, they are now the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And all of America is going to say, whoa, what are you talking about? Whether it was done this way or this way, it doesn't matter. We were attacked and now we got to do something about it. So it immediately cuts the legs out from under that movement of truly being America first. And it garners the necessary support and it pushes us completely into another conflict without question. And all of those people that have been the staunch America first people are going to have to fall in line. They're not going to have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing the smaller preemptive attacks, like the Tommy Robinsons, the psyop with him, like the Jake Lang, the psyop with him, and this Afghan guy could be, a potential psyop as well. But we're seeing the underlying, they're laying the framework for it, essentially.
Yes. Yep.
They're prepping us for what's coming.
The same thing that happened before 9/11. I don't think a lot of people paid attention to that, but there were a lot of things that led up to 9/11. It wasn't just like a one event thing.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that led up to that.
But the thing is, like, when these neocons like Dick Cheney, these right-wing politicians go and they start wars and they destabilize these countries, and then that creates a vacuum with all these refugees. They need to go somewhere. They want to go somewhere. The left-wing politicians open up the border, and then these borders get flooded. But they're not going to, these migrants are not going to Saudi Arabia. They're not going to Nigeria. They're going to France, England, Spain, Germany, America, Canada, right? And so back to the white nationalist thing, you're seeing all these people who are the indigenous population of England or France or wherever, and they're saying, hey, there's a lot of these migrants who are coming in and they're not assimilating and they're causing problems and there's an uptake of crime and all of these bad things. We don't want this. We don't want this, okay? We want our country to be preserved. We want our culture to be preserved.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that unless you're white.
Yeah, every other country, exactly. And the other thing too, and that goes along with I think Tucker actually just talked about this. It's the fact that on top of all of that, we as white people have been being told for how many years now that we are the devil and that we are inherently racist, that my kids are born inherently racist, that we need to go through classes to be not racist, and that we are privileged, and that this and then that. And that has been drilled into these white people's minds for so long that it doesn't help the situation at all.
Yeah.
But also the fact that, like I just said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to preserve your culture. Every single country on the history of the planet.
Japan has done a tremendous job at doing that, and Japan is my favorite place on the planet.
And nobody asks questions. My wife and I said this earlier, my wife and I, one of my favorite trips that we've ever been on was actually to France. It was like...
Did you go to Paris?
Yeah, dude. We were in Paris. This was I'm trying to remember when it was. It was 2000... I want to say it was 2016 or 17.
Okay, I went there. Last time I was there was 18.
It was before all the crazy. It was before the fire at the cathedral and all this stuff. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing about it. It was we've been a lot of places. We've been to a lot of countries together. It was my favorite trip by far. We stayed 6 days in Paris and then we toured all of Normandy and stayed in a different place for 6 days. And before we went on that trip, so many people told us that they hated France and that it was the worst place and that we were going to hate it and the people were awful and it was super dangerous and blah, 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 blah. It was the exact opposite, dude. We had a blast. We were out in Paris. We were out at 3 a.m. We had no problem. We were not afraid of anything. There was zero fear at all. And every single person we met in France, the whole time we were there, were some of the nicest people ever. The only dick that we ran into was actually in the airport, and it was an American. But here's the thing. What was really interesting about it is we went into it with a mindset of this is this people's country. This is their culture.
You got to respect it.
They have a different language. And I would watch Americans that would just walk up to a bakery and start screaming English at the person and getting mad when they didn't know their language. And then, of course, you see this confrontation. And, of course, that's going to make Americans feel like, oh, the French are assholes. And the French are going to think, oh, the Americans are. So when I saw that, I was I told my wife, I was every single time we talk to these people, let's learn how to say, I don't speak a lot of French. And so we learned how to say it.
Yeah,
I don't
they
remember
open
how
up
to
a
say it
lot.
now.
Every culture I've been to, when you can speak a little bit of their language, they open up a lot.
So that's what we did. Every single time we got into like an Uber, or every time we went to a market, or every time we went to eat somewhere, we always said that at the very beginning. And it immediately broke these people down to a point where it was like they respected us, they appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I didn't know how to say something, dude, I would honestly just pull out Google Translate and be like, I'm so sorry. This is what I'm trying to say, you know? But I think because of that respect for their culture and who they were, and not trying to change that, and not trying to like impose who we were on them, it made it completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because it's to your point of like, if you're not willing to assimilate into a culture, you shouldn't be welcomed. But at the same time, it's not wrong to assume that that's what should happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they just want to preserve their culture, and I don't know if you saw, I mean, did you see the amount of diversity in Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a super diverse place.
Yeah, everywhere.
And I'm not saying that would be a problem if it weren't for the fact that a lot of them don't assimilate. And that you see that with Germany, you see it with England, you see it with a lot of these European countries.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't think it was as bad before we went. Like, I think when we went, it was
been getting worse and worse.
It was before all the immigration craziness, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I know people who've been going there since the 80s, and they say it gets worse and worse every time they go
Interesting.
back.
We also weren't looking for it, though. So, like...
Yeah. I mean, I felt it when I was there. I honestly felt, I went in 2018, I felt a little unsafe walking around at night, and there were certain areas that were, I mean, it was dirty. It was just, for me, maybe I had a different experience.
Well, but again, we weren't looking for that. Like, we didn't, this was prior to...
I wasn't either, but didn't you see like all of the guys trying to scam at the Eiffel Tower, selling knickknacks and stuff? And
yeah, but I mean, I'm from upstate New York, dude. I went to the city all the time, and that's all they do in the city.
Yeah, I guess you're more used to it. I grew up in Iowa, bro. It was like...
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to the street sellers. I'm used to all the like knockoff crap. And so for me, it was just like, oh yeah, it's a big city. They're just doing that kind of stuff. But again, this was prior to me being really outspoken.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking for all this stuff.
Regardless of like whoever goes there and you see it firsthand or not, the numbers don't lie. And the numbers are that most of these European countries are not keeping up with the birth rate. Like the birth rate is not keeping up with the demand for their population.
No, that's an absolute reality.
And what are they doing? Because the birth rate is down, they're exporting people. Mm-hmm. They're exporting workers. They're bringing in migrants. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems that people see
and it's happening in the United States of America, by the way.
It's happening here, but it's Europe is far further along.
Yeah, far further along.
Far more along than we are.
Yeah.
So we can kind of take a page out of their playbook and see what's happening to them, and correct our course of action here.
Yep.
Because this is another thing where I talk about Islam, and it's going to ruffle some feathers, but when it comes to like Europe, France is a Christian country, right? But the birth rate in France for local French people is like 1.3 children per household on average. The birth rates for Muslims in France is like 6 to 8 per household. 10 to 20 years from now, it's not going to be a Christian country.
Yeah, they're outbreeding.
They're literally outbreeding.
Yeah.
And so I see that as a problem. And that's more nuanced, though. It's not that, again, it goes all the way back to these Western countries and these politicians from America and in Europe. You know, France has a huge monopoly over the minerals in the Congo. Like, they're the propagators of the genocide in the Congo. That's your fucking fault that the Congolese want to flee to your country now. You fucking started that problem. Deal with it now. So you started a problem in a third world country, and now all these third world people want to come to your country to seek asylum. Okay? So that's where it starts. Let's not forget that. But it is a problem when the local population, the local native people of France can't keep their numbers up to populate their country, and these foreigners are coming in and essentially ethnically cleansing through the birth rate. In 10 to 20 years, it's not going to be predominantly, French Christian people. It's not going to be that in 10 to 20 years if it stays at this rate.
Yeah.
And I see that as a problem.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that, it's the migrants' fault, it's the immigrants, the brown people, the Muslims' fault.
It's just a result of the problem.
It's the result. It's
a result of a very manufactured, very calculated problem.
Yes.
An agenda.
The effect of the causation that they started, that they propagated.
Yes.
They started the problem, and it created an immigration vacuum, and now they're dealing with the causation. They threw the rock, This is the ripple, and now that's what they get.
And then to go high level, the question is, do you believe that that's all do you believe that's all controlled? Because I think ultimately that's what it comes to, is like, why is all that happening? Is it just happening because it's happening because bad decisions are being made left and right, or is it because there's an actual agenda?
I think it's more
to create
more. I mean, I think
a
it's
no tradition
of
society
things.
that has nothing to hang on to.
I think I think there is an agenda involved, but I don't think it's all just an agenda. I think that obviously the French are they're profiting off of the minerals in the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
So you have companies that don't give a shit, and they're just plundering their resources, and they have slaves in the Congo. And that's because of France. And yeah, so France started those problems in the Congo, and now they have to deal with the repercussions of that. And people will hear what I'm saying, and they'll hear what I'm not saying. They'll hear that, they'll think that I'm a white Christian nationalist who hates everybody who's not white. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that any culture, any country should have their nationality and their country and their culture preserved. Japan should, Saudi Arabia should, African countries should, America, Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, France, everybody should be able to have their culture and society and their nationality preserved.
And the reason why is what? Because the world would be a terrible place if it was just one ideology and one religion and one tradition and one this and one that. Like, the thing that makes the world so great is the fact, I believe, this is my opinion, is the fact that there's so much diversity.
Yes.
Like, that is what makes the world a beautiful place. That's why I love to travel.
Same, dude. I've been to 27 countries.
Yeah.
Every time I go to a country, I want to experience the most raw cultural experience possible.
Yes.
When I go to the Middle East, I just want to eat Middle Eastern food and barely be able to get around with my English.
Yeah.
I don't want to see white people. I don't want to see sandwiches and baguettes. I want to see, Kobe and hummus and all of these things and just experience the culture wherever I go.
That's exactly how my wife and I are. It's like, I love it. Like, I'm not a super materialistic person. I always say that I spend all my money on experiences, and and traveling is the number one. We actually had a plan to go to Japan right before COVID hit, dude. We had a 2-week vacation.
I was there
plan.
at that time.
We had all of it planned, dude. We had all the hotels planned. We had the planes booked. We had everything. We were going during is it poppy season? Is that what it is? Or
cherry blossom?
Cherry blossom, sorry. Cherry blossom season. Poppy season. Cherry blossom season. And we were so stoked. And then it was literally like weeks before COVID hit, and they shut down all the flights. And we were so bummed, because that's like number one on our bucket list. I wanna experience that culture so bad.
It's my favorite place in the world, and it's a safe, efficient, homogenous society. The people are all on one page. They're very respectful of their culture. I mean, you go to Japan and you could damn near eat off the sidewalk. It's so clean.
It's awesome.
Like, you won't find litter, you won't find trash. You can leave a Rolex watch on a coffee table and go to 2 stores down, and nobody's going to take it. Nobody's going to mess with you. You sit on the train, everybody's quiet and respectful. It's clean. The restaurants are efficient. The culture is efficient as a whole. The architecture is beautiful. I love everything about it. But the reason that Japan is because they preserve their society. They're not bringing in a bunch of people that want to change it and don't want to assimilate. Yeah. The process of immigration in Japan,
and that's their culture. Their culture is clean, beautiful, and organized, and respectful.
Yes. And if you want to go and travel there, I think you should have that right to do that. I like to travel there, but when I go, I respect the culture.
Of course. Yeah.
You have to do that.
Yes.
And so if people are going to go, because their immigration process is so rigorous, like it's almost impossible to become a Japanese citizen if you're not native born. Even if you have you're a half-born citizen, it can be a little hard. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. Same thing with most Arab countries, right? Their immigration process is so much more strict than ours.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but same thing as Israel.
Yeah. They're the most white nationalist people on the planet.
I was going to say, they're one of the most nationalist people
literally
literally
want to kick out the natives.
You can't marry.
They're literally in the process.
You can't marry outside of Judaism.
Yeah. They're literally in the process of kicking out the natives so that they can have their own white nationalist Jewish society.
But we're hateful for saying this. By the way, is it true? Tell me if this is true or not. Is it true that in Judaism, if you marry outside your religion, that your family has a funeral for you? Is that true? I heard that the other day, and I was like, you got to be kidding. That's not real.
Funeral, I don't know.
Like, because you're dead to the family or whatever?
I mean, it's very, I don't even know if frowned upon is the right word. It's very looked down upon. But like, as a man, you have to marry a Jewish woman.
Yeah.
Like, your kid's not Jewish at that point. Or not fully Jewish.
Right.
And they're God's chosen people. So if you marry outside of the religion or outside of that ethnicity, then your kid is like somehow removed from God's covenant.
And again, you can't get citizenship in Israel unless you're Jewish, correct? Or how does that work? I don't know. I'm asking.
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I thought it was really hard.
The immigration process is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
You can live and work there. You can get like a work visa. But
it's the same thing. They're preserving their,
they're preserving.
But
their
of
way
course,
of
you'll
life.
have the people that are saying, yeah, but there's all these Muslims that live there and all these Christians and blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
So literally the only countries and only cultures that are told that you have to let these people in and you have to let them do what they want to do in your country. Sorry, it's the white countries. I'm sorry. It is the Western, it's Canada, it's America, it's England, it's New Zealand, it's Australia, it's France, it's Germany. It's all these countries, these white, European, westernized Christian countries are told that they have to open up their borders and allow people to come in. But no other country on this fucking planet is held to the same standard. Saudi Arabia doesn't have to do it. I know a guy who's lived in Saudi Arabia for over 15 years. He's Jordanian. He's fully assimilated, speaks the language. He's a Muslim. You would have thought he was Saudi Arabian unless he told you otherwise. And they will not let him have citizenship, no matter what. He can marry a Saudi woman, still can't get citizenship. So like all of these other countries are allowed to have their strict border policies and immigration policies and citizenship policies, but we're not. We're told that we have to let all these people in. And again, like I said, it starts with the destabilization of their home countries. I get that point. I get that nuance of it.
yeah. Well, and I mean, that's the thing too, though. I don't think any of us are saying, I mean, listen, I spent over 2 years in Nicaragua as a missionary. I lived in a place that, dude, that it's actually the main reason why I'm so like patriotic when it comes to being an American, because I know what it's like to live outside the country in a third world country where there's an actual dictator and an actual like regime, right? And it is awful. And what was I getting at? I had a brain fart. But what were you saying before that?
How every country is able to keep their borders shut, but we aren't, essentially.
After that, I lost my train of thought, but it was a good one. I was just going to say like, oh, that's what I was going to say. But I believe in the importance, and I believe that every single person who wants to live in America and wants to pursue the American dream, which who knows if that's even real anymore, but like people that want to come here, if they go through the proper procedures and they do what it takes to actually do it legally, I absolutely believe that they should have the right to do it.
Yeah, I'm not totally anti-immigration.
Exactly.
It's just we should be vigilant of it.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, I believe in immigration, but we absolutely cannot have open borders. And you have to have process, and you have to have a vetting process. And the people that want to come here have to go through that vetting process. And they have to be willing, like you said, to assimilate into the culture of American culture. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't have a problem with that at all, bro. Dude, half the guys that I served with in the Marine Corps were other ethnicities. Most of them were Mexicans.
Yes.
But those are some of my best friends.
Yeah.
I got no problem with them and their families being here at all. And some of them were first generation Americans.
Yeah.
They served the country.
Yeah.
They were willing to die for this country. They're just as American as me.
Well, and this is the problem. Is people like you, people like me, like we immediately get lumped into this group of people that are racist or hateful or whatever. And it's not the truth. It couldn't be farther from the truth. Like, I love every single type of person. I actually do believe in multiculturalism. I think multiculturalism makes things great. Like I said, I think diversity makes the world a great place, but you absolutely have to preserve those different traditions, those different cultures.
As long as the people can assimilate to the place that they go to, sure.
Yeah, but I'm not here to tell you that, you shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It's asinine but this is what happens. They create these labels. They create these.
Oh, we're gonna get fried for this, but
I don't care though. That's the thing,
the truth, bro. It's just
that's the thing. I don't care because I've always said this. You can literally go and look through all of my content, and you can call me whatever you want, and you can say whatever you want, but you will never call me a liar. And on top of that, you'll never be able to prove any of the things that you accuse me of ever. My record is clean because I am very clear about where I stand and what I believe, and I'm not a hateful person. And I don't condone any kind of extremism or any kind of terrorism. Like I condemn all of those things. But at the same time, you have to understand there's nuance in every single situation. And you have to be able to see that nuance. And anybody that's not, anybody that lives in this world that is black and white, you are being manipulated, you are being propagated, and you are part of the system. And I personally cannot be part of the system. I can't. I haven't been able to since I was a kid, dude.
Same.
I spent most of my life in a freaking detention room. I will push against the system at all costs.
Yeah, I've always been the black sheep.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us have, you know, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. I think it's what makes us willing to do what we do. But
yeah, if you want to go a level deeper with this whole,
I do
the whole overarching issue of this.
But I want to take a quick break real quick.
Okay.
Because every single guest I have on the podcast, I give them gifts. So right next to your chair, there's a bag, and I'll walk you through what's in there. We still good? Okay. I used to do this at the beginning, but now I kind of do it in the middle.
Yeah.
So so that is part of our mag club. I know you love Japan.
Bro, fuck yeah, this is sick.
So that was in memory of the freaking nukes, but it's a memory, it's a reminder that peace and war, it's the reminder of like what comes from peace and war, and to remember to never actually push us to the point to be able to do what we once did to those people. And it's, if you look at it, I want to pull up the actual quote. I'll tell you what the quote actually says, but
the Japanese writing.
It's something along that version where it basically says, you know, we need to remind ourselves the tragedy and the horrific events that took place during Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and remember what led us to that and never go back. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it, you'll see like the Japanese mask, you'll see the paintings, you'll see that it's very much set up like Japanese paintings. And that's kind of what we wanted to capture. It's even got the black shadows from the people, they say they saw shadow people during the nukes on the one side. And then you also have the cherry blossoms.
I see the hands and stuff.
Yep. So one side is kind of the nuke side, and then the other side is like what we learned from the smoke after it rose.
That's sick, bro. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to give you that one specifically. So
I need some more P-Mags anyways.
Yeah, dude. And then there's a few other things in there.
Got some,
So we got some first form greens. Freaking, they've like solved my gut issues. And then
do they actually work?
Yes, dude. Yes. If you take them every day for an extended period of time, if you have any kind of gut, if you're not pooping right, dude, that's it right there. I'm telling you. And it actually tastes pretty good. They don't taste like crap. And then that's just like a hydration stick that they do. I think it's really good. And then that is a pillowcase. I saw you got Zin.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So that is an indestructible pillowcase, dude. You could drop that sucker off a building.
Dude, this is fucking sick. Yeah,
yeah.
I go through Lucy's like they're candy, so definitely.
So now you got yourself a.
Do you?
I don't do any kind of. I don't have any kind of tobacco or anything like that. But I
Bro,
do.
You can't,
caffeine pouches, dude.
Yeah,
like
you
crazy.
You can't leave the military without a nicotine.
I'm
tendency,
sure. So. I'm sure. I don't judge anybody.
It used to be vaping and smoking. Now I'm down to the pouches, but.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't judge anybody, bro. Like. People do what they want, but I do a lot of caffeine pouches, like they're freaking.
Oh yeah,
going out of style.
Caffeine and nicotine. You won't leave the military without dependency on those.
Yeah. So this is, I don't know if you're familiar with this company, but these guys make the best button downs. This is Retro Rifle. They are the best button downs you will ever have. They're super comfy and just like really light. And
are you a Oh yeah,
I'm not. The guy that owns it, his name is Austin. He's made me an affiliate of it, but I don't actually get like paid out or anything.
It's like some Miami Vice type of vibe.
Dude, there's so many cool ones though. But yeah, I thought you might like that.
Thank you, brother.
Yep. There's some more stuff in there.
Coin?
Yeah, little challenge coin. Official Patriot Gear challenge coin.
Yeah, I've got a pretty big collection of coins.
Cool.
From my time in the military at the embassies.
Yeah.
People, every office, every agency had their own coins. Mm-hmm. So
I didn't even know about them until I started the
It's big in the
Patriot
military
brand,
and law enforcement.
Yeah.
We've got some pretty cool ones.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely add that.
Yeah, I got a bunch over here too that have been sent to me from law enforcement.
Some Patriot gear.
Yep. So this is our essential tee. I know you like kind of the box tee, oversized fit ones. So this is our essential tee that we just dropped for Black Friday.
100% cotton. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really comfy.
It's like a pump cover you use?
Mm-hmm. You can use it as a pump cover for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome, dude. You're welcome. Thanks
you.
for coming. And, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, like the last point I wanted to make, if you want to go like a level deeper into the nuance of it, is it's the birth rate. Like the destruction of the nuclear family, the destruction of families in the West in general, and the decline of the birth rate. Also abortion factors into that. So you have this huge decline in the birth rate in America. You know, I think it's like 3/4 of my generation, Gen Z, was aborted.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's a real statistic.
Yep.
Pull that up. Let's do this for real now. Pull that up. What is the birth rate for Gen Z, or what was that? The birth rate for Gen Z, or the percentage of abortions?
Yeah.
Percentage of abortions for Gen Z. Yeah, because how old are you?
I'll be 27 in a week.
Okay, I'm 38, so I got 11 years on you.
Okay.
So you're Gen Z. I'm technically,
You're millennial.
I'm technically,
I
I'm a
was
millennial.
2 years from the cutoff of being a millennial.
Okay.
I'm the beginning of Gen Z.
Okay. Let's see. Holy crap. That's crazy, dude. So it says, while there is no specific percent of abortion in Gen Z, data from recent years shows that women in their 20s account for this majority of abortions. 2021, is that 57%? 57% of abortions were performed on women in their 20s. Lifetime estimate, 13% of women are likely to have an abortion by the age of 25. That is crazy, dude. That is a crazy statistic.
Yeah, whatever way you want to chop it up, I mean, a huge portion, an unprecedented amount of my generation have been aborted.
That's
for, you know, whatever one reason. I'm pro-life. I think, you know, that whole topic is more nuanced than people like to make it be.
It is, for sure. It's like
It is
anything
more
else.
nuanced.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of pro-lifers who don't understand the full nuance of it.
Yeah.
So I get that. But at the end of the day, the church is pro-life. I'm pro-life. I've always been pro-life. But yeah, it's more nuanced. And I don't want to get too deep into abortion, but the bottom line is that the birth rates are down. Abortion is up. People don't want to have kids because it's too expensive to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll be in my late 20s next week. And most of my peers like don't want to have kids yet because it's expensive.
Right.
You know, we can't even afford houses.
Dude.
50-year mortgages are on the way. You know, we can't afford to live ourselves and support ourselves. It's hard living out here. So nobody wants to have kids. People are now having kids. It's more common for people to have their first kid in like their late 20s or early 30s or mid 30s.
Yeah.
Whereas my parents and my grandparents were having kids in their early 20s because they could afford it. And that was just the culture. That was a society. Yep. Now it's like women want to go out and get a job and be successful and have these careers before they have kids. And then maybe they don't want to have kids. Yep. And they want to have them when they're later in their 30s or whatever. And there's a destruction of the nuclear family.
And that's all very calculated.
Yeah.
It is. It's 100%. The destruction of the nuclear family is very calculated because that is the number one way to destroy a society. Mm-hmm. Period. End of story.
But we see that most prominently in the West. And so these Western countries, America and Europe and Canada and so on, the birth rates are down. They're not having kids. They don't want to have kids, but these other countries are popping them out left and right. And so when those immigrants come to the Western countries, the birth rate is much higher amongst those immigrants. So the Muslim population, the people who are coming from these third world countries, they're literally outpopulating the native people.
I think I read somewhere that Latino families average like 6 to 7 kids.
Yeah, good for them. You know, good for them. Yeah. But we aren't keeping up in our own countries.
Right.
And so that's just another, if you want to go deeper, that's another layer of this whole thing, of the overarching problem of destabilizing these countries, having open borders, and it's essentially ethnic cleansing of these Western countries, because in 10 to 20 years, at the rate it's going, places like France and England and Germany and Belgium are not going to be majority Belgian, French, or English. That's not going to be the majority population. And I think that's a problem.
It is a problem. It's a major problem. And, but the even bigger problem is the fact that when you talk about this, you're not allowed to.
Oh, I'm screwed. I'm going to get many clips of me talking about this.
You're not allowed to talk about these things, right?
Yeah.
And it's.
But here's the thing, man. If people like me who aren't, I'm not saying I'm neutral. I have an opinion, but if people like me don't come out and talk about it, all you're going to get is the Gypsy Crusaders. So would you rather have a group of Gypsy Crusaders or somebody like me who's more nuanced?
That's right. Yeah.
So the people who want to silence me, if you silence me, all you're going to get is the extremists.
I mean, dude, that's what you're seeing right now, honestly, with, you silence Charlie Kirk, you kill a Charlie Kirk. Guess who came up in his place?
Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And look, here's the thing. I saw somebody say this the other day. They said Nick Fuentes is 100% America first, and so I can be 90% with Nick Fuentes. I like that. I can agree with that. I actually do agree with probably 90% of what Nick says.
I don't agree with
disagree vehemently with everything he says about women. And I disagree with a lot of what he says about multiculturalism in general. But like most of the things that Nick talks about, he's pretty on freaking point.
I agree.
And the difference is, it's what you're talking about. It's you get rid of a Charlie Kirk who is far more.
And they think he was
they thought he was the extremist.
They thought he was the Antichrist. They thought he was like Hitler.
Yeah. No, you have far, far worse. And when you silence that voice, you amplify the other ones.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. And so people like us who are just having this conversation and talking about the nuance of all these different situations and not spewing any hate, like we've clearly said multiple times, we don't hate anybody. And it's not about extremism. We condemn all the extremism. But even just having this conversation is such a dangerous thing to people because we are talking about finding the middle. And the middle is what scares them.
Yeah.
They need the extreme. Right?
Yeah.
Whoever you want to call
Power's
they,
at the top.
they need the extreme.
So they'll try to discredit us and silence us. And it works because I'm not going to silence myself. I'm not going to stop talking about these things. But you'll find a more even-keeled person who they don't want to be called anti-Semitic. They don't want to be called racist. They don't want to be called these ad hominems. And they will cower and back down. Whereas the extremists won't. They'll die on that hill.
Yep.
They don't care. You're not going to silence them. The only people you're silencing is the people who are playing, devil's advocate or having a more moderate position on these things, who are going into the nuance.
And the other thing is, quite frankly, you're creating more extremism.
Yes, that too.
You're
If you silence
creating the
them,
extremism.
You're literally pushing people like me. I'm not saying I am going there, but like if you keep trying to silence people like me, you're only going to push them further and further into an extremist box.
100%. But again, that's another thing that I believe it's calculated. It is necessary for the chaos and for the divide to have just the extreme points of view. You can't have that middle ground. And that's why the people that are right now, quite frankly, on the middle ground, they are being canceled. They're being slandered. They're being ostracized. These people like Tucker Carlson, like, dude, he is not an extremist. He is not an anti-Semite. He is about as middle as they come. And that's the reason why they are attacked so hard. I mean, it's very, very simple. But I want to move on to something a little different. So one thing that I also tried to do with this podcast is like, I want people to get to know my guests in a way that maybe they haven't been able to in other podcasts and other places. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you have to freaking dump all your dirty laundry out or whatever, but like, who's Clyde? What brought you to the point you're at right now, and what are you currently doing, and how did you get there, and how's this kind of evolution taking place? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lifelong journey. I mean, I think everybody's childhood shapes who they are to a large extent. And that was also the case with me. I grew up in a Christian, conservative, Republican home in Iowa, which is I call Iowa a bubble within a bubble. So America's a bubble.
Yeah.
It's encapsulated and isolated from the rest of the world. And you don't get to experience other cultures or other societies or other ways of life. And Iowa's a microcosm within that microcosm. And so I grew up in this bubble of Iowa where I was raised on these, honestly, Judeo-Christian values. I was raised in a Protestant Reformed church, which wasn't like super, we see the evangelical churches who are like the quintessential Christian Zionist sects of Christianity.
Yeah.
My church wasn't like my church had, Israeli flags behind the pulpit or anything like we see with some of these extreme churches.
I don't feel like any churches really had that back then, though. Like, we're talking, what, the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s? I don't feel like I ever saw
2000s, 2010s.
Maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but I don't feel like I was ever...
Yeah, but that element of Christian Judeo values did exist in my sphere, in my friend groups, in my family groups, where I grew up. I remember, my parents weren't like staunch Israel supporters, but I remember when I started looking into all these things, and it was 9/11 that 9/11 red pilled me.
Same here.
When I was 13.
Yeah.
My brother showed me a documentary about 9/11 when I was like 12 or 13. And he kind of pulled me into the rabbit hole and showed me this documentary. And I was looking into it and I was like, whoa, that's fucking crazy. You know, it was like a mind blowing, life altering realization.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went, you know, head first into the rabbit hole and started looking into all these different things. Now I looked at like every, you know, mainstream conspiracy theory and stuff, just kind of out of curiosity. But then I was seeing all these things correlate with Israel. USS Liberty. It seemed like at my point of view at that time that Israel had fingerprints on 9/11. They pulled us into Iraq with the invasion of Iraq. They pulled us into a lot of conflicts. We give them billions of dollars a year. What is this AIPAC nonsense? This is where my brain's going. And then I'm thinking, looking into it deeper, I start looking into Judaism and what is this Judeo-Christian value thing? Why is it that
How old were
Christians-
you when you started looking into this?
High school? Like
Really?
13 is when like I was red pilled on 9/11. And then it was like all of high school, I started going deeper and deeper down in the rabbit hole.
You know what's crazy is 9/11 was also what red pilled me, but I was literally 14 when it happened.
Yeah, I was a toddler.
Like I was in freaking science class. I'll never forget it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first thing that like really opened my eyes to it. It didn't happen till after, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I got red pilled on that and then started diving deeper into all this Judeo-Christian stuff. And I was realizing that there's a miss here with this Judeo-Christian crossover. It's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that modern day Christians are called to support modern day Jews or the modern day state of Israel? And for many reasons, I was seeing a misalignment here. And it was a misnomer. It was a contradiction. And so I started looking into Palestine. I started looking into like the West Bank and Gaza and what was going on there. And I remember starting to talk, because I would talk to my friends and family. I was known as like the crazy conspiracy theorist kid growing up. But I would talk to I would research something and then find something out. And then I would go run and tell my parents or my friends. And then when I started talking about Israel, that's when they kind of started to silence me. They're like, okay, you're crossing a line here. Like as Christians, we are supposed to support Israel. But I was crossing that line and saying, I don't think we are. I think they're actually siphoning from America and they're a huge pariah to America and to Western society and to Christians. And I was telling them this. And then I remember very clearly, it's like a core childhood, like high school memory. My family, we were driving home from a church or something one Sunday morning. And I remember talking about Israel and my mom was kind of getting on edge. And I remember saying, but look, like this is what they do to the Palestinians and blah, blah, blah. And then she like cut me off and she's like, I will never support an Arab Muslim over a Jew, blah, blah, blah. She's since changed her ways. I've brought her around.
You blackpilled your mom.
I blackpilled my mom. She's super blackpilled now.
That's funny.
But I remember just that was my upbringing. And so at a certain point, I just kind of stopped talking about it because I reached this point where I was like, I'm like a high school kid. What can I do? I wasn't on social media. Social media wasn't a big thing like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. I wasn't like, posting on there or anything. And so I was getting called like crazy and stuff. So at a certain point, I just kind of stopped talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew it was there. And then also, all throughout my childhood, I had always looked up to the military. And
I was just going to say, like knowing what you knew about Zionism and about all of that, what the heck drove you into the military? Because that would have been...
I didn't know what I know now. I knew a fraction of what I know now.
Okay.
So
you didn't know the
nuance.
You didn't know...
No,
okay.
I didn't even know the full history of Zionism. I knew roughly what it was. And I knew that 9/11 was not what we were told it was.
But like you said, you knew you would research like the Liberty and stuff like that. Like I would think that
I had heard about, again, I knew like a fraction. And again, I was like in high school.
It wasn't enough for you to understand like, hey, I'm going to war for Israel.
Really understand it at the depth that I understand it now was not there. And so I still saw serving the country as this patriotic thing that I always wanted to do.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It wasn't like I got so black-pilled that I was like, oh, I shouldn't be serving in the military. It never got to that point. Because I always looked up to like, I always read the Navy SEAL books when they would come out and watch all the movies of like Marcus Luttrell and Mark Owen and all these other special forces guys. They were like a huge inspiration to me growing up. And that's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Ever since I was like a little kid, you know, always out in the backyard playing G.I. Joes and stuff with my brother and my friends. And so I took that route in 2019. I joined the Marine Corps. I always wanted to be in a combat related job in the military. And originally I was going to, you know, go infantry and then later try out for MARSOC. That was like my pipeline dream that I wanted to pursue. So I signed a contract, which was a 5-year contract, and it was split up in between 2 different jobs. So my first job was to be a Marine security guard, which is the guys who guard the embassies overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in charge of guarding U.S. embassies and consulates overseas. And I thought that was super cool and rad, and I wanted to do that. And then on the back end of the contract, it was half of the contract was that, and then the other half was to serve in the infantry, which is what I also wanted to do. So it was like a best of both worlds type of contract. I signed it, went to boot camp in January of 2019, graduated, and then I went on to infantry school, graduated infantry school as a 0311 rifleman, infantryman. And then from there, I went to Quantico, Virginia for Marine Security Guard school. I was there for about 5 to 6 months, graduated that pipeline, got my TS clearance, and then my first post was in Tokyo, Japan at the embassy there.
Okay. That explains why you love Japan so much.
Yeah. I lived there for a year. So yeah, I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with the people and the food and everything.
Got it.
Japan. So I was there for a year, and that was a really cool experience. I got exposed to like all of the big agencies, like the agency, the CIA, FBI, Homeland Security.
Did you get any exposure to Mossad while you were out there?
Mossad? Not to my knowledge. In Japan, no.
But you probably did.
Maybe. I was tracked. I got, I know I was getting, I had somebody doing surveillance on me multiple times in Japan. I had to report it actually a couple times. Because we get training on like counter intelligence and espionage and what we call sextortion.
Yeah.
So we got training at the schoolhouse of basically how to protect yourself against these honeypots.
Yep.
Because they're a real thing. There was a guy who was a Marine security guard in Russia named Clayton. I can't remember I think Clayton was his last name, but I think he got killed for treason. I think he got executed for treason because he got honeypotted by some KGB spy who was this hot Russian girl who infiltrated him, and eventually he ended up selling millions of dollars of TS clearance or TS information to this KGB spy. And so they always used him as like this example in the schoolhouse. Like we learned about him and what happened with that.
Don't do this.
Yeah, don't do this. Like they told us like women will message you randomly and they'll be way out of your league. Just know what's in your league and stuff. And
she's not into you, bro.
Yeah, yeah. But I do remember being tracked by this lady, and she was tracking a few of us Marines because she would pop up at random parts of the city, and we would see her like every different Marines would see the same lady in different parts of Tokyo, the biggest city in the world, and she was like following us and stuff, and she was this all like dolled up, you know, makeuped up. I don't know. She was Asian. She might have been Chinese or North Korean or something. But it happens. You know, we get surveillance done on us all the time, especially depending on what country you go to.
Right.
If you're in Israel, yes, you are. They have all eyes on you. When you go into Israel, they basically have your phone. Like your phone is theirs, essentially. And I know people who work at the embassy in Jerusalem. One of my former mentors, because my next post after Japan was Saudi Arabia. I was there for a year, like 14 months in Saudi Arabia, and got more exposure, got some more cool training, got to train with some like Rangers and some DSS, like tactical guys. Got some cool training, really cool experiences there. That was like one of the most interesting years of my life. We could spend like 2 hours talking about that alone. But yeah, I was there in Saudi for 14 months. And one of my mentors there who worked for the State Department, he was like my boss essentially. And he got transferred to the embassy in Jerusalem, and he works there now. He was my main contact when I went there.
Really?
He was kind of like my eyes and ears and my intel source when I was there for a lot of stuff.
When you were in Jerusalem?
When I was in, the Holy Land.
Yeah.
But yeah, he basically told me when I was there, he's like, yeah, your phone, it's theirs. Like your phone, once you step foot into Israel, they have technology to basically infiltrate your phone. So next time I go back, I'm
or
going
pager.
Or pager. So next time I go back, I'm going with a burner. I'm not even going to take my phone.
Yeah.
Because you'll just get compromised.
You can't even use a VPN.
You can, but you're still kind of cooked.
Yeah.
I mean, they have everything. Once you step foot into their border, your phone is theirs.
Crazy.
Your messages, your contacts, your photo gallery. But yeah, I did that. Was on the MSG program for a little over 2 years, and then I came back to the States. I got orders to 3-1, which is a unit in Camp Pendleton, California. I was at 0311 Infantry Rifleman in Lima Company 3-1. I was there for a little over 2 years. Did a lot of training in California, and then I did my final deployment in Australia in 2023.
Australia's not real.
What's that?
Australia's fake.
What do you mean?
Don't you know? Australia's not a real place.
Oh, it's a real place, and they got some real creatures there.
I know, dude. You haven't heard that conspiracy theory that Australia's not real?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, it's the wildest one. I don't even know how people get that one, but I have zero desire to go to Australia because of the reason you just said. Spiders the size of a freaking Volkswagen. I'm good, thanks.
Dude, there was because we'd be sleeping in the field.
That's an 8-legged
we are living in the bush.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Like the Australian, no, thank you. Right, but we would see they have in this training area that we were in. It was in like the northern part of Australia, in Darwin, and in that area they have some of the most exotic animals that you can't find. Like Steve Irwin made multiple trips to Darwin to go study biology there because there's life in Darwin that you can't find anywhere else.
Pull up Darwin, Australia.
They have this.
Darwin,
they told
Australia
us,
animals.
So like when we pulled up, when we got to Australia, they gave us a brief. The Aussies gave us a brief of like a safety brief of like, if we were going to drive or if we were going to go into the woods or if we were going to go in. They told us literally don't go into any body of water.
Jeez.
Like fresh water, salt water, because everything in the fucking water will kill you. Like saltwater crocs the size of a fucking SUV.
Oh yeah, they're huge.
Sharks.
Yeah.
And then the most dangerous thing that they told us about was this, it was like called an amoeba or something.
Oh,
what was it called? No, it was a jellyfish. What was it called, bro?
Type in Darwin, Australia, like
Jellyfish.
Crazy jellyfish. There you go.
The name's going to pop up.
Barappa? Is that what it was? Venomous box.
Not the box jellyfish. Look up the small one. It's like the size of a nickel. But if it touches you, you're dead.
The small one, he says.
The small jellyfish. Literally, if this jellyfish touches you,
what does that say?
Irukandji, yeah.
Irukandji.
This thing, you can't see it. It's the size of a nickel or a dime. But if it touches you, you're fucking cooked.
How many are there?
A lot. And
so you just don't go in the water.
They literally told us don't. I mean, we went in the water still, but like they told us don't go in the water because of these and everything in the ocean that will kill you and the fresh water. Like there's crocodiles that go in salt water and fresh water. And so we would go to this. I remember we went to this like waterfall place because there wasn't much to do in Darwin. So we went to this cool place and had these cool big waterfalls that we would jump off of. And a week after we left, some dude got attacked by a crocodile in that same like little pond. So like we were probably swimming with crocodiles.
Totally.
But anyways, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out there that'll kill you. And
for me, it's just the spiders, bro. I've seen too many videos.
Oh yeah, the huntsman spiders.
No, thank you.
We would see them literally the size of your hand.
Well,
like sprawled out.
I thought there was like even bigger ones because I mean, in
That's
Nicaragua, we had those. We had the size of hands or dish plates in Nicaragua. The second day I was in Nicaragua, I was taking a crap, and I'm in the bathroom, and the floor just started moving. I'm looking down, and the floor started moving.
Yeah.
It was one of those like transparent spiders, literally this big, like giant skinny legs, pretty big body, probably about that big. Totally transparent. It blended with its surroundings. So the floor starts moving, and I'm like, "What?"
Is spiders your thing? Or snakes?
I mean, like now, since I went to Nicaragua, I'm not like really affected by it. The spiders don't bother me nearly as much. They used to bother before my mission. They bothered me a ton, but now it's like, whatever. But those kind of spiders, no, I'm not. I'm good. Snakes don't bother me. Snakes really don't bother me.
I'll tell you a story about snakes in Australia because we were training all over the country. We mainly stayed in the Northern Territory in Darwin, in that area, but we went to Townsville, which is in Queensland, for a month or like 5 weeks for training, and we were in the field for a month. I mean, we were in the bush, took 3 showers the whole time for a month. And the training area that we were in was inhabited by 8 of the 10 world's most venomous snakes.
I mean, those
So
are
like
have
8
a problem
out of
with.
the 10
Yeah.
of the 10 most venomous snakes were there in that training area. And so if you get bit by one, you're done. Like there's certain snakes that they bite you and 5 minutes later you have paralysis and you're just frozen, locked up. Like we had to get medical training on how to treat snake bites.
Isn't it true? Don't you have to suck the venom out?
No. So that's like a myth.
Really?
Just like pissing on a jellyfish wound, I heard is a myth. But we were given training if you get bit by a snake and you don't know what it is, first of all, you have to identify what the snake is so you can know what type of antivenom you need. So you get bit by a snake, and then what you have to do is you have to take a bandage, like a wrap, essentially, and you start just above it and you wrap. So let's say I get bit on my calf right here. What somebody would have to do is take a wrap and wrap it literally. I mean, you're just cranking
As tight as you possibly can.
As tight as you fucking can. You wrap that thing as tight from probably your knee all the way down to your foot. And what that will do is that will constrict the blood flow throughout your leg. So it will kind of consolidate and keep that venom locked in that portion where you wrap the bandage so that it can't shoot up to your other extremities or your heart or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's your best COA, your best course of action. And if you do it properly, you can actually maintain, you can actually keep your leg and you can keep the venom stuck in that spot for a couple hours, depending on what the snake is and depending on how tightly you wrap it and how soon you wrap it. But then after you get to a hospital, they have to, 1, know what type of snake it was so they can give you the right antivenom. And then 2, when they administer it, your body can go into shock. If you release the bandage, it's going to shoot all throughout your body and that venom will put you into shock. And then you're basically dead. So they have to slowly drip the antivenom into you while they slowly unravel the bandage. And then you just hope that you keep your leg or you don't die.
Why the hell do people live in this place?
I don't know, bro.
Why does anyone choose to live in Australia?
And we had a Gurkha. So we were training with the Nepalese Gurkhas, which is their special forces.
Yeah.
So we were doing a training exercise. It was like a night raid on a town in Australia in this area where these snakes are. And it was us, the Marines, it was the Aussies and the Gurkhas. And so it was basically what we were doing is we were assaulting a town, but before we go into the town, we had to set up machine guns and they would consolidate fire onto key parts of the town. And one of these Gurkha guys, he was on a 240 laying in the bush and he got bit on his calf by a snake and they don't know what it was. I don't even know if this guy is alive today because I didn't hear about his condition after that, but he got bit by a snake and they called a POSEX on the whole exercise. And everybody came back and we consolidated into the town and they had to call in an Osprey to come airlift this guy out. And so they had to airlift this Gurkha soldier out of the bush and take him to, I don't know if he's alive. I didn't hear about his condition after that. But yeah, he got bit by a snake. Luckily I didn't get bit, but you'd see him. You'd be walking around, you'd see him coiled up in the bush.
Are they big? Are they the big ones?
There's some big ones, yeah. There's some small ones too.
Because from what I've heard, the big ones are actually not the ones you need to really worry about. It's usually the tiny little ones.
Yeah, those, because I think it's they don't know how to they don't know how to administer the proper dose of venom. So the babies, they'll just shoot you with a full blast of venom, whereas the adults can control their venom more. So yeah, I guess if the baby bites you, it's just fucking full sending a power it's power.
Yeah, so let me back up. When I say snakes don't really bother me, it's more if you go to a place where they're allowing you to put a snake on you, I don't get creeped out about that. I would put a giant python on me, right? But obviously I'm not. Yeah, I don't know why people choose to live in that place. The amount of spiders and snakes and all this other stuff that you see, it's just that. It sounds like a place that has been designed to kill humans.
It sounds like a place. I mean, the Brits literally shipped their freaking prisoners there
Yeah.
They're like, you're a prisoner. Let's just ship you off to this shithole with all these creatures that will kill you.
And then somewhere along the way, someone was like, let's go live there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
The
a good
population
idea.
is tiny. It's a very dude. The population of Australia is smaller than Texas.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
I mean, I hear it's pretty.
oh, it's beautiful. I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad I went. So I'll probably never go back.
Yeah. I
Number
don't know
one,
why you would.
Because
Snakes?
yeah, it's dangerous. But two, I've kind of already seen it, and it's such a long trip to get there. It's out of the way. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like below the equator.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, dude, coming back from Australia took on our trip back from deployment. It was like a 32-hour trip, and we were on that plane the whole. We didn't get off the plane for the whole trip.
That's crazy, dude.
But yeah, so I did that deployment, and then I had an incident when I was out there. I was involved in a Osprey helicopter crash.
Oh, that was in Australia.
Yeah, that was in Australia. I had mentioned that a couple times on my Instagram because the anniversary is I have it on my wrist. It's August 27th.
Dang. Yeah, I have heard a little bit about this story because I've heard you talk about it other times, but I didn't realize it was in Australia though.
Yeah, that was literally my last training exercise ever in the Marine Corps, and it almost killed me. And so when I was on my deployment in Australia, at the end of the deployment, I had 6 weeks left on my contract.
Yeah.
So that training op was 6 weeks out from me getting my discharge papers. And so,
and it was just, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was just like an op gone bad, right? Like, didn't it, like what, I have heard a little bit of the story, more of like, I've come in the middle of it. So I guess I haven't really heard like how it happened. So
yeah, I mean, the Osprey aircraft is notorious for having issues. I mean, they have a couple crashes annually. One happened our crash happened in 2023, and then at the end of 2023, another one crashed in Japan, and then after that one, they grounded all Ospreys for like 7 months.
Wow.
Because they're just too problematic. They have too many issues, and so ours was a mishap. It wasn't pilot error. It wasn't human error. It was just a problem with the aircraft. Because the way they're designed is it's actually technically a plane. So it can fly and take off like a plane, but it can hover and land like a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's versatile. Sounds cool and useful in theory, but it comes with a lot of problems. And so what we were doing is we were doing a big training exercise, multinational training exercise with us, the French, the Gurkhas, the Aussies, I think the Indonesians were a part of it, the Japanese, and I think the Brits were there. It's like huge training exercise. Because that deployment is like essentially, it's called the MRF-D, which is the Marine Rotational Force Darwin. And essentially, like, it's you're training while you're there, but you're also a forward deployed unit in case of anything that happens in the South China Sea. Mm-hmm. So, like, we're the first reactionary force for anything that would happen in that region of the world.
Training in the meantime.
Training, sharpening our knives in the meantime.
Yeah.
Essentially. So, this was the biggest training op of the deployment, and it was my last training exercise in the Marine Corps. And so what we were doing is we were taking off from northern Australia, and we were going to fly to an island. It's a remote island that is owned by the Aboriginals. So this island is actually sovereign territory of the Australian Aboriginal people. And so it's like they don't have infrastructure. They don't have buildings. They literally live in like mud huts.
Really?
Yes, dude. It's like,
wow.
They live like indigenous people because they are. And they gave the Australian government the authority to go train in a very...
What's it called?
What's it called? Tiwi Island?
You'll pull that up. Australian Tiwi Island?
Tiwi Island.
I just want to see what they look like.
Oh, the Aboriginals?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Because I've heard. I've heard.
You've never seen people look the way they look.
I bet.
Like they're their own race, ethnicity.
Yeah.
Just look up Australian Aboriginals.
Oh, there you go. Australian Aboriginals. Aboriginals.
You could type in abos. That's kind of what they call them. I don't know if that's a derogatory term, but
probably. There you go. Aboriginal. There you go.
Go to Google Images. Yeah. Dude, I'm not joking. That is what they look like.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not even joking.
That I've seen, because I've seen like pictures and videos of these people before too. Yeah, that's crazy.
Straight up, that's what they look
The
like.
guy with the white face.
Yes.
Oof, that's wild.
But you
man.
see their facial features?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Like, that's what they look like.
This is going to sound so bad. People are going to freaking chop this one up like crazy. But this is honestly why I don't find it hard to believe that.
Evolution?
What?
In evolution?
Not just evolution, but aliens. I believe in aliens. And the reason why, and I believe that aliens just look like humans. But I think that it's like, I don't think they look like the movies do. Like, I don't think that they're these big, tall, green things with antennas. But I absolutely think that they are human-like forms that just look different. Because, like, you see people like this and you're like, they're humans. But,
Yeah.
like, if you put them next to someone from America or someone, or even like an Asian or whatever, like,
Dude, they look totally different.
totally different. And it's not, yeah. So that's why.
I don't mean to sound like racist, but they almost look like a different species.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why it's not hard for me to believe that these life
Like,
forms that people
Asians
have seen
look
are real.
distinctively different than us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like, these people are so distinctively different. I've never seen any people, no Indians, no Africans, nobody else
Yeah.
on the planet looks like them.
It's so unique. It's crazy. Like, it's, what do you think it is? It's just because there's totally
Dude, I don't know. It's like
cut off from.
they are so isolated. Yeah, they live like totally primitive lives. Like, they're hunting with bows and arrows and stuff.
Wasn't
and
there a dude that went there at some, I thought maybe that's what I saw. I think I saw like a documentary when somebody went there.
and they killed him?
No, they didn't kill him. They were really scared though. Like, because are these the cannibals? Are these also cannibals?
I think there are tribes that are cannibals.
There was a British journalist that went to one of these villages of where there was actual cannibals, and
I'm sure at some point, I don't know if there's any modern tribes that are still practiced. I think there are. I'm sure at
Canoes.
some point.
cannibals. Yeah, let's see. It's a real practice,
Still today.
limited to specific mortuary. Do images. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and their culture.
Well, so that's what I was getting at, because I think that that's another reason why some of these people look the way they do, because they literally say that cannibalism changes your physical features. I mean, it makes you look physically different than other humans.
Yeah, I could see it.
So if they've been doing that for years and years and years, and that's just kind of the evolution of their physique, you know,
Yeah.
because of that. That's why I was asking that.
Epigenetics of it or something.
Yeah, genetics have changed because of it. Interesting.
But yeah, it's super interesting because I kind of knew about the Aboriginal. I knew they were a thing, but I didn't understand it fully until you go there. And like, there's a ton of them in Darwin because Darwin's a more like rural town. So you see them all over the place. And then on North Sentinelese Island, or not North Sentinelese, but Tiwi Island, like that's their island. Like they just own that island and they live this indigenous lifestyle there. But anyways, we had permission to go to a portion of the island to do this training op. And we get in these Ospreys, and I've flown in Ospreys plenty of times. I've flown in other helicopters. I've never had an issue with it. I've never been like scared or nervous. I always thought it was cool, like getting in the helicopters and flying around.
Helicopters
them.
are fun, dude.
Yeah.
They're super fun.
So I was always stoked to get in them. But this time was different. So we had two helicopters that took off together, and I was in that first stick to get in one of the first two helicopters to take off.
Like you just felt like something was off?
As soon as I sat down on my seat.
Really?
Dude, yeah, this is like, there's only been a couple times in my life where I felt like a ESP.
Like a prompting?
I felt something that you couldn't explain.
Mhm.
Like a sense washed over me that was almost like spiritual, but it was like dark. The best way that I can explain it, and it's a bad way because nobody's going to understand this still, but the best way that I can interpret it is I felt like
a cold rush, kind of?
I felt like the angel of death was in the helicopter with us.
So I actually believe big time in this. Part of my faith is we believe in prompting, but we don't believe it's an evil thing. We believe it's a prompting from God, basically saying, "Hey, not good. You're in a bad place.
Yeah,
get
dude,
out."
And I've heard
we believe it's the spirit. It's actually the spirit of God.
it's something, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
So I absolutely believe that, though. I've had that happen.
I don't know
multiple times.
why. I don't know why there has to be that foreshadowing of that. Because I've also
Protection.
heard
I think it's protection.
protection. Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
I
I've
mean-
also heard stories of guys like my superiors, guys who were in longer than me, who had gone to combat,
Mhm.
and they would tell stories of like they knew there was this eerie feeling that washed over them 10 minutes before an ambush.
Well, that's the thing. So I think promptings of God come for a lot of different reasons, but I think one of the main reasons, obviously one of the main reasons is because I believe he's trying to protect those people.
Yeah.
So in reality, like you should have gotten off the helicopter, you would have been protected, nothing would have happened, right? But at the same time, I think the other reason is because that happened to you, anytime that happens again,
Oh, yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going to happen? You're
Yeah.
like, okay,
It's a feeling you can't ignore.
no.
You can't fucking ignore it. I mean, it consumes you.
Yep.
And as soon as I got in there, I sat down and we were flying over the ocean because we were going to this island. So we had to be over the ocean for probably 10 minutes. It was going to be about a 15, 20-minute flight.
Mhm.
And so when you fly over big bodies of water, you have to take these little life vests that have an air tank on them.
Mhm.
So it's like a small life vest you put over, and then it has a belt, and then it has a holster for this air tank. And in the air tank, it has like 15 minutes worth of oxygen. And so we had to do training on this before, like a helo dunker, where they basically put you in the body of a helicopter and they would dunk us into the deep end of a pool.
Mhm.
And we had to do like simulated training of like a down helicopter in a body of water. And like we'd have to like grab our air tank and put it in, and they're like thrashing you around and stuff, and you have to swim out. So I had training on it, and I knew like I was going back to my training when I got in the helicopter because I had this weird fucking dark, eerie feeling that washed over me and it wouldn't go away. And so I have my life vest on, and I have my air tank here. And for the first time, like I never fuck with the air tanks, I never like really check them because I never worried about it.
Mhm.
But dude, I did like 4 checks on that thing. I pulled it out and I tested the gauge. I put it in my mouth. I was like quadruple checking this thing, making sure that it had air in it. And then I took it and I put it on my lap, and I had my hand on it like this on the mouthpiece, because I was just like sitting there in preparation to go down. And there was no problem with the helicopter. It wasn't like the helicopter was rattling or shaking.
Yeah.
And that's why
Yeah.
I just had this weird feeling.
Just, yeah.
And so we take off and we get in the air, and the feeling just gets worse and worse. And I start playing these scenarios over in my head of us crashing, and we're flying, and pretty soon we get over the water. And if you're facing the cockpit, like facing the front, I'm sitting in the back right of the bird. And so if I look to my left, I can see the back hatch is open. They usually leave it open.
Mhm.
And I would usually look out because it's cool and stuff. I'd like to see, what's going on out there. And so I remember sitting there and just eyes glued out the back hatch. And I can see we start flying over the water, and these scenarios start popping up in my head. And I'm like, man, if we crash in the water, like I'm going to have to grab this. And I'm looking around at all the exits, because they have windows and stuff that you can pop out. And so I'm literally playing all these scenarios in my head of, if we hit the water,
Plan A, Plan B,
Plan
Plan
A,
C.
Plan B. This is the guy who I know can't swim worth shit. I'm going to have to save him. This is the guy who I know can't swim. I'm going to have to save him. And then I'm like planning my exit route if we land in the water. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, I just feel like we're going to crash. And again, there's no problems with the bird yet. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, man, if we crash, I hope we crash in the water.
Did you say anything to anybody?
Nope. I mean, on those helicopters, it's so fucking
You don't really
loud.
do,
You
you
can't-
don't do that.
When you
yeah.
talk to the dude who's like literally like this on your shoulder, you have to scream in his ear. It's
Oh, because
so loud.
you're not wearing. You guys aren't all wearing.
We have ear pro on.
Yeah,
we have
yeah, yeah.
Pelletors on.
But you don't want to also say that to everybody. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so I didn't say anything. I was just kind of sitting there, and I remember thinking like, if we crash, I hope we crash in the water, or at least we'll like possibly survive the impact. But then I'm thinking in my head, then there's like saltwater crocs and sharks, and now I'm getting more nervous.
Oh yeah,
and
because you're in
stuff.
Australia.
Yeah, dude. I'm like shitting bricks here. I'm like tripping out. And so then we keep flying and we get over the island. I'm looking out and I can see land. I can see the beach. And we get over the island. And shortly after we get over the island is when the birds started, being weird. And what was happening was, in training, sometimes the pilots will do notional evasive maneuvers. So essentially, they will act like there's a missile or some sort of ground-to-air
They'll try to
weapon
like
system.
dodge it or something.
Yeah, they'll try to simulate a missile coming, and they'll try to dodge it.
Okay.
And I've been in the helicopter when they're doing these training exercises before, so I know what it feels like when you're like being gyrated and fucking swung around in the helicopter.
Yeah.
And so to me, in my mind, we start doing that. And that's what I thought it was. I thought we were just doing notional evasive maneuvers because we were flying around like crazy, and we were making super hard banks, and we were making these hard banks, and they were so hard that like my cheeks were getting sucked into my bones. and I was getting sucked into my seat like you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Which I've never felt that before.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard banks and we're moving pretty quick and we're at cruising altitude. We're pretty high up there. And so we're flying.
How high is that? How high is cruising altitude?
I don't know. If you want to look it up, you can. I mean,
What's cruising altitude for a helicopter, for an
Osprey?
Osprey?
A few hundred feet, maybe. I mean, for flying distances, they can go pretty high, but
For an Osprey, yeah.
I mean, it's high.
Yep, there you go.
It's like when you're descending in a commercial airplane and you can start to see the ground.
Varies depending on mission.
Yeah, 2,500 feet. Sometimes
1,500 to 2,500 feet.
Yeah, so we're up there, man.
Yeah, you're up there.
We're up there and we're doing these hard banks and stuff, and it's feeling a little out of the normal. And I start to think that maybe something's wrong, but in your mind, you never want to go to on like half my brain was saying we're going to crash. The other half was trying to rationalize it.
Yeah.
Because I was like in denial.
Right.
And so there was that portion of my brain that kept telling me, you're not crashing. You're not crashing. It's just evasive maneuvers, or it's just this, trying to rationalize what's going on. And then at one point I start hearing alarms coming from the cockpit. And again, I tried to rationalize it. I'm like,
what are the other dudes doing at this point around you?
Just sitting there. I mean, everybody's like sitting. Nobody's.
You're just all thinking it's a, yeah.
It didn't feel like we were crashing, but it felt intense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably everybody was on the same page as me of like, yeah, this feels pretty intense, but there's no way we're crashing type of a mindset. And then I heard those alarms coming from the cockpits and I wrote them off as just like ambiguous alarms for whatever. And then at some point, they passed down the line. The crew chief goes like this, which symbolizes like 5 mics till landing, like 5 minutes till landing, to get us ready, to get our gear ready and get off the bird and set security. So he passes it down 5 mics, and we all pass it down. And I'm like, okay, we're going to land soon. And so a couple minutes later, we're still flying out of control. Not out of control, but like sporadically. And I remember at one point we're flying like this. So if this is like normal, parallel with the ground, we're flying like this. And my back is about here. So I'm sitting
You're
right
up
here.
against the wall like this.
I'm literally sitting against my back and I look over my shoulder and I see a window and I'm looking straight shot to the ground, like hundreds of feet down to the ground. And then I'm sitting there and we start to come back to normal. But as we're coming back to normal, flattening and flying parallel to the ground, we're getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And when you land in an Osprey, you hover. You don't land like a helicopter on a runway. You kind of come down and you hover down to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So usually you'd be flying and then you kind of stall and slow down and then hover. But we're not doing that. But we're getting closer and closer and
You're
closer.
diving.
We're diving essentially, yeah. And so we're flying at full speed and we're getting closer and closer to the ground. And I'm looking out the back and I can see the top of the trees because we're flying into a forest. And I can see the top of the trees and we're fucking cruising. I mean, going hundreds of miles an hour. And I can see the top of the trees getting closer and closer and closer. And I'm like, holy shit, we're close to those trees. And I'm thinking like, we must be doing like a hot landing or something because we're coming in hot very quickly and we're getting close to these trees. And then we get real close. And then all of a sudden the back of the bird just goes on the top of the trees. And then we're in the trees and we're fully like, the bird is just going like all throughout the trees and we're literally ripping through the forest. And at that point, I just go in my head, I'm dead. I'm like, I'm fucking dead. I'm like, we're crashing. My brain finally rationalized it. And at that split, I don't know how many seconds it was from the moment we touched the first tree till we hit the ground. But all I could think of in my head was I had 3 scenarios that popped up. I literally thought of how I was going to die. I was just sitting there anticipating death and what that was going to feel like. And so I thought one of 3 things is going to happen. We're going to hit the ground. We're going to blow up. I'm going to get incinerated. I'm just going to blow up. Or we're going to hit the ground and we're going to tumble and I'm going to get crushed in here like a pop can. That's going to suck. Or we're going to hit the ground and we're going to get ripped up and my leg's going to get ripped apart. My head's going to get torn off. My arm's going to get ripped from my body. And I'm just anticipating one of those 3 painful deaths. And it's a matter of seconds till it happens. And so I'm just thinking like, I'm about to fucking die. We smack the ground hard as fuck. We slide for 100 yards. And dude, have you been in a car crash?
No, I mean, I've like just have smashed animals before.
Nothing fucking compares.
Yeah.
I've been in some car accidents.
Yeah.
where like airbags are deployed.
Yeah, no, I haven't ever been in that.
Nothing,
Knock on wood.
nothing will ever compare to this impact.
Really?
I mean, dude, we hit the ground so fucking hard.
How fast were you go? What's the speed? Do you know?
You can look it up, but
What's
I mean,
what is
we
this?
did not fucking, it was like we didn't slow down at all.
How fast does an osprey usually, like what is the normal speed for an osprey?
When it's flying
When
like
it's-
a plane.
Yeah. So normal speed for an osprey flying. I'm curious. Jeez.
276 miles an hour yeah.
And you were, and there's no way, I mean, you were at the higher end of that because.
Yeah, we weren't slowing down.
No.
And that might be when it's flying like a helicopter. This was flying like a plane.
That's crazy, dude. You're going hundreds of miles an hour.
Yeah, we're probably going 300 miles an hour or more.
And you hit the ground at 300 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, 320. So about 320 miles an hour, we hit the ground, and just the most, I can't put it into words, like the most intense impact. And I thought I was dead. And
On impact.
I thought I was dead, yeah. Because I kind of knocked out for a minute. Because you're tight in these seat belts. Like you can't fucking move at all.
Mm-hmm.
You're packed in there like sardines, but my body's going like this. My head's getting thrashed around. Things are getting thrashed around, like guns and gear and packs are getting thrashed around. And we slide for like 100 yards. And I remember we come to a stop and I'm like, holy shit, I'm alive. And once we stop, I kind of pick my head up and come to, and I can't see shit. It's black. Like I can't see my hand in front of my face like this because it's dust and it's smoke. And all of a sudden, like I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm alive. And then a couple seconds, half a second later, I see orange just going like this, just orange coming down. That's all I can see is just orange glimmer, and it's getting hot. So the plane is on fire. We blew up, and I'm sitting there like, holy shit, I'm alive. And the first thing I said was, as I'm undoing my seatbelt, I'm like, get the fuck out. Everybody get the fuck out. And the people who are awake were screaming, get the fuck out, get the fuck out. And so we unstrap ourselves. I get up out of my seat, and I'm literally climbing over packs and guns and all sorts of shit that was thrashed around in there. And I can't see shit. And so I'm looking and I'm trying to find the exit, and I see a glimpse of light. And so I just go for the light. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I survived the impact, but I'm about to blow up. In my mind, I'm literally thinking as I'm crawling over packs, I'm like, I'm going to blow up.
Any second.
I'm going to blow up. I'm going to blow up. I'm going to blow up. Thinking that. So I'm trying to get out as quickly as I can. I see the light. I get out. I jump off the back and I sprint. Dead sprint, probably 25 yards. And I'm thinking I'm literally thinking, get as far away as I can because I'm still thinking I'm going to blow up. And so I sprint down, sprint away 100 or not, probably like 25 yards. And then I turn behind me. I'm like, okay, where's everybody else at? So I turn around, and dude, you can't even see the bird. All you see is smoke and flames. And it's this huge, just mushroom cloud still bellowing up. And you see smoke and flames, and I see people hopping out of the fire. And then I turn around, and people are hobbling out. Guys are like holding themselves. Guys are getting dragged out. And I'm telling guys like, move, push further back, trying to get everybody to move like 100 yards back in case it does explode. And then I see two guys dragging one of the crew chiefs, and this crew chief was the guy on the back. So the birds, when they fly, they have two crew chiefs, one in the front and one in the back, and then two pilots. And so this crew chief is knocked out cold. I mean, eyes rolled in the back of his head. He's out cold, and there's two guys holding his flak, and they're just dragging him. And so I go up to them, and they kind of set him down, probably 25 yards out, and I'm like, you got to move him further back. Like, everybody's consolidating. Let's move him back here. And so then we move him back probably 75 yards, and everybody's just kind of coming out. People are getting carried. People are getting firemen carried because people like broke ribs, broke legs, concussions. People got knocked out. And so it's just chaos, and we're trying to like get away from the crash sites. And from there, we go into accountability and triage and like sending up 9 lines, like the casualty evacuation plan. And guys were fucked up, broken ribs, concussions, broken legs. One of our machine gunner squad leaders had 2 broken feet, and the dude was sprinting around for 2 hours because he couldn't feel the pain. He was like checking on his guys.
Just because of adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline. He had 2 broken legs. or 2 broken feet.
That's something I feel like I've heard stories like that from buddies of mine that are in the service like multiple times, where it's like that's what a normal human will never understand of what the body can do under that amount of adrenaline.
Dude, I didn't feel anything.
Well, because you had a bunch of.
Yeah, I had injuries. Yeah, I wasn't as fucked up. I was one of the most unscathed out of the crash, but I still have injuries today.
But what were you lost a finger? What else?
I did lose. I lost the tip of my finger, but that was a different.
Oh, that was a different thing.
Yeah, that was a different thing. They reattached.
So what happened to you in the crash? What were your injuries?
By the grace of God, hardly anything.
That's awesome, dude.
I had a concussion. I had a TBI, so traumatic brain injury. That's why I'm kind of retarded these days. But
aren't we all?
Yeah.
That's why you're here. You're in good company, buddy.
Yeah, I had the most intense whiplash, which I didn't feel till like 6 hours later.
And then it was just.
Oh, dude, it was searing pain. It was like I got put in a neck brace for like 12 hours at the hospital. My back was pretty fucked up. My knees, my ankles were banged. I didn't have any broken bones, but like my arm got banged up.
What do you think? I mean, literally, the grace of God. But like, do you think there was any like physical, actual, worldly reason
the way the
why
pilots brought it down? Yeah,
it just didn't crash? On,
yeah,
like
because
you were in a good place.
We were on track to crash like this, bro. And if we did, I'm sitting here. I'm done.
Yeah, you're done.
I'm done.
Yeah.
But they were able to correct it and bring it down like this.
And that's why you.
But
were
the way it crashed was the nose touched first.
Yeah.
And they blew up on impact.
Yeah.
The pilots died. What we believe after the report came out, we believe, and it's my hope that they died on impact.
They didn't feel anything.
I hope not, because the only thing that we found was their skeletons, because they were in the
just
bird.
Cooked.
Yeah, they were on fire for hours. But it was because of the way they brought the bird down that we survived. Otherwise, everybody would have been dead. So they willingly put themselves in harm's way to bring the bird down as easily as possible, so that everybody had a good chance of surviving. So
crazy, man.
Yeah. And then we were on that island after the crash for like 4 hours till we got evacuated. A lot of guys were super banged up. I was ambulatory, so I could walk around and help out with stuff.
Yeah.
We were trying to get emergency helicopter to drop a hoist and like airlift people out. And then that crew chief was super banged up, man. He's a friend of mine. And he lives like 40 minutes away from me now. So I see him every now and then, but he lost a lung because he had internal bleeding.
Didn't you do a podcast with him or like did you do something with him?
He's been on my Instagram, but I've never like, interviewed him.
Maybe I just saw a post or something you were talking about him.
Yeah, he's been on a couple posts of mine. But yeah, that guy was super banged up. I thought he was dead multiple times on the island. Long story short, he got evacuated like four hours after. And yeah, he had internal bleeding. He lost his lung, or I think his right lung or left lung. He lost he got an infection in the hospital, and it basically like killed. He looked like Two-Face because the one side of his face was like dead.
Jeez.
So all his nerves were dead, and so he got super banged up. But yeah, it's a crazy story. And then I got out of the Marine Corps like 6 weeks later, and then was spit out into the civilian world.
Yeah, I bet that was fun.
Yeah, it was quite the transition.
Jeez, dude.
But yeah, so did my whole Marine Corps thing, got out.
And then you just started hating people.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. No, there was a build up to that too, because I got out. You get out of the military, and it's like
So what does that look like? You get out, and then what? What does that lead to, and what are you doing today?
Yeah, so I got out, and I have not had a job since I was in the Marine Corps. That was my last quote unquote job. So when I first got out, I tried my hand at like entrepreneurship, and I was doing e-commerce and stuff, which didn't work out at first, and then it worked out for a bit. I got into marketing and stuff, and that actually worked out pretty well. I was making pretty good money. But I was living with a family member in Michigan because I didn't have, I couldn't get my own place. Like I just got out of the military, and I was trying to make it as an entrepreneur, like struggling and stuff. So I lived with a family member in Michigan for 8 months, and then I made the move to DC 8 months after getting out. That was after I started making like good money with marketing and stuff. And I was, so backtrack to like the whole like conflict in Gaza. when I got back to the States, I had like a month left on my contract before I was getting out. And I remember when October 7th happened because I was sitting in the chow hall and I had 1 month left.
Yeah, because you were still in the service when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened 1 month to the day after I got out or before I got out. So I remember like I was working on getting out of the military, which is a whole process, and I'm kind of focused on that. But I remember being in the chow hall and I see the first headline news report of October 7th. And I remember like eating my food and I look up at the screen and I see like October 7th happens. And I'm like, essentially, I just thought like the Palestinians were screwed because I knew Israel was going to hit them hard. But I had no clue how hard they were going to hit them. And so I remember seeing it and I was like, that sucks. Go back to my food. I got my life to worry about. Didn't know what was going to happen past that. And then I get out and then fast forward to my next like red pill or black pill moment was during Raffa.
Yeah.
When Raffa, and that was one of the moments that red pilled a lot of people. Like Dan Bilzerian.
Explain what that is because there's a lot of people that don't know what that is.
Yeah. So what happened was this was in the summer of 2024. So it hadn't been going on for a year yet. It was only like 8 months that this genocide had been going on. But in Raffa is this part of Gaza, which is the southern part of Gaza, which borders
This is
Egypt.
so messed up. I can't even believe this is,
Yeah. And essentially like Israel was bombing all these parts of Gaza and they were bombing Hamas, but they were also bombing civilians. And so these civilians were getting displaced and Israel told the people in Gaza, go consolidate down into the southern part of Gaza in Rafah and we'll leave you alone. This will be a safe zone for the civilians and we're going to fight the battle with Hamas in the other parts of Gaza. So they do that. The civilians go to Rafah, and what happens? They discriminately bomb Rafah over and over and over again. For days,
right? For
yes.
days, straight days, they just bombed it.
And so I remember, like Dan Bilzerian, because I was at his place about a month ago. He told me like that's when he got red pilled too. Like that's what woke him up and made him realize that he needs to speak out and do something. And so that was like my first red pill moments in the whole like Gaza situation. And I remember thinking like, I want to do something. And I looked at contracts to go to Gaza, but there was like nothing available. There was no contracts that I could take to get to Gaza and to help. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll donate or whatever. My life kind of got busy around that time too, because I was moving to DC. And I just was like, I can't get to Gaza, so I can't really do anything. But I was following it and keeping up more after that. And then the moment that I got involved, that I put my hands to work, was after Israel broke the last ceasefire before this one.
Yep.
So that was
when you raised the money for the kids in Palestine, right?
That was shortly after.
Okay.
I started raising money after I went on my trip there.
Got it.
So what happened was Trump had just gotten elected. This was January, and they had a ceasefire. And it was before Trump got inaugurated into office, and they had a ceasefire. And I remember at that time, everybody was like, oh, look, Trump ended the war before he even got into office. That's what they were saying.
I remember that, dude.
Yeah. And then they had the ceasefire. It lasted like a couple weeks, and then Israel broke it again. And so I was like, okay, fuck this. Fuck my life. I'm going to get involved. And this was like the early spring, like February, March of 2025. And so I was like, I don't want to just donate. I want to do something.
Yeah.
So I was looking at if there was like organizations in the States where I could go and help a food drive or something. And then I was like, oh, dude, I literally know people at the embassy and the consulate in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Like I literally have really good contacts at the embassy in Jerusalem. Why don't I just hit them up and see if there's something I can do out there? And so I hit up my contacts and I'm like, hey, I want to get involved. I'm tired of watching this stuff on social media and on the news. And I want to go there and I want to try to get to Gaza or as close as I can, or I just want to go somewhere and help with my hands and help out the Palestinians. I don't want to just donate. And so he tried to find an avenue of how I could do that. Couldn't really figure it out. So long story short, I ended up just going there to Palestine. I went during Holy Week in April, and I flew in. I was actually coming from Dubai because I was there for a friend's wedding. So I went to Dubai for like 5 days, and then I hopped from Dubai to Tel Aviv. I got to Tel Aviv, and I met up with my friend at the embassy. He kind of showed me around Jerusalem, and I didn't have anything planned at that time. Like I didn't have a concrete plan set for like what I was going to do or how I was going to help. At that point, I was doing my Instagram and I had like probably 10,000 followers. So I was posting about it and I was like, okay, at the very least, I'll go and I'll document it and I'll see what's actually going on. And so I did that. And I went there. I went to Jerusalem. I was there for like 6 days in the Holy Land. And first day I get to Jerusalem, my friend from the embassy, he's walking me around, showing me around Jerusalem. Also, I'm a Christian, so like I want to see the Holy Sepulchre and Christian sites and stuff.
Yep.
So it's like a 2-part trip where I'm like, I want to see the Christian sites, but I want to help the Palestinians as well. And it was like really cool for me to be there and like be where Jesus was crucified and walked and all that stuff. So I'm like taking it all in the first day. And the second day was kind of like my tourist day in Jerusalem, where I went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and all these different Christian sites. And then the third day was supposed to be the day I was going to go to the West Bank and like document it. And I also wanted to like donate money or like help with the food drive or something. And so I didn't have anything set up because my contact from the embassy tried to set something up, but it fell through. So fast forward to the night of my second day in Jerusalem. The following morning, I'm supposed to go to the West Bank, but I don't have anything set up. And so I go to a gym in Jerusalem, I work out, and it's probably like 10 o'clock at night. I finish my workout, and then I go back into the old city of Jerusalem to go find some Palestinian food. And it's probably like getting close to 11. I go into this Lebanese place in the old city of Jerusalem, and I'm sitting there eating my food. And there's probably like 3 or 4 older Palestinian gentlemen who are in there hanging out. Finish my food, and I leave, and it's like 11:15 at night. And I step out into the street, and I'm just like, okay, I'll just wake up early tomorrow and try to figure something out. So I pull up my hotel on Google Maps to go back. As I'm pulling up my hotel, one of those older Palestinian gentlemen, he taps me on the shoulder. He's smoking a cig, and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, well, he just starts chopping it up. And he's like, where are you from? What are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. Small talk. And I'm like, oh, I'm a Christian American tourist here. And during that time, I knew, because I had been given a debrief from my contacts at the embassy to not trust people because Mossad will actually work through the Palestinians sometimes. And so I knew in the back of my mind, I can't.
Limited information.
Yeah, I was giving him limited information. I wasn't just outright, oh, I'm a Christian American who's going to come here and help your people.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to come out and say that. So I'm treading lightly with this guy, and we're just talking. And he gets to talking about his background. He said he worked for the UN for 30 years. And he starts talking about Israel. He starts talking about the West Bank. And so I start to trust him a little more. And I'm like, well, actually, because he asked me what else I have planned on my trip. And I'm like, well, actually, I wanted to go to the West Bank, and I kind of want to see what's going on there because as an American, we're fed all this information, but we don't really know what's true.
Yep.
So I came here, and I want to see it for myself. And so I started getting comfortable with this guy, and I asked him because he worked for the UN. I was like, is there any organizations that you know of that I can donate to? And he's like, I don't really know of any like good ones because a lot of them will take your money and it actually won't get distributed to the Palestinians. But then he's like, oh, but my son-in-law, he's actually a tour guide. He takes people to the West Bank. Maybe he can take you tomorrow. And so he whips out his phone and he calls his son-in-law, and they start speaking in Arabic. And 5 minutes later, he hangs up and he's like, hey, follow me. So I follow this guy, old guy, and we go walk down like 2 streets, and we turn down this block, and his son-in-law is standing out in the alleyway, and I shake his hand, and his son-in-law invites me into his home at like 11:30 at night. Random Christian Palestinian guy in Jerusalem. He invites me in. We go have tea. He introduces me to his family, and we get to talking. Again, I'm treading lightly with him because I don't want to give up too much information. But then I start to feel like comfortable with him and tell him like more of my true intentions. And then I just told him, like, I'm an American Christian who wants to see the truth. I want to go to the West Bank. I want to visit families and talk to them and get their stories. And he just kind of leans forward and he's like, okay, we can do that. And so he's all down to clown. He's down to go there. And he was down to take me to like the worst parts. Like he was down to take me to Ramallah, Hebron, Nablus, which are like some of the worst neighborhoods in the West Bank. And he was going to take me to some refugee camps and all this stuff. He was going to show me everything. And so I go back to my hotel, sleep. He picks me up at like 7 a.m, and we go off into the West Bank. And we go in there, and it's like a dystopian world.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Israeli government has full occupation, it's full military occupation of the Palestinians on the West Bank. They have essentially no freedoms, no rights. The Israelis control their water supply, their internets, their electricity, their transportation. They have, like I said, like 700 checkpoints in the West Bank to control their movements. They have curfews in their towns. They do raids on their towns and like arrest Palestinians for throwing rocks and stuff, or like kill Palestinians for throwing rocks. There was actually 2 American boys, 2 American Palestinians that were shot.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 days before I showed up. And my contact from the embassy had to go out and identify their bodies. Like that was his job.
Did you see Hamas while you were there?
No.
None. Not at any point.
They're not in the West Bank. You might have Hamas. You have Hamas sympathizers and Hamas supporters.
Yeah.
But you don't have active Hamas cells.
Like militants.
Yeah. They're not the governing body. It's the PA or the PLO.
Yeah.
But they have like very, very limited authority and control.
What was the overall sentiment towards you? Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously people probably knew you were American.
Yeah. I mean, the Palestinians were always super nice and hospitable to me.
Yeah. Did you had no form of like, there was no like hostility towards you at all while you were there?
No. Not from the Palestinians, no. Neither the Christian or the Muslims. Because we went and visited 9 families in the West Bank and through the time that I was there. And we would go and we would drop off like food and stuff for them. And then we would sit and visit and we would just talk. And the Palestinians would tell me their story. And I would ask them questions and my guide would translate in Arabic. And the story between them was pretty much congruent. Like they can't work. It's almost impossible for them to make money because there's no jobs. And it's a big tourist economy and tourism is dead because of the war. And then I talked to like some Palestinians who are like construction workers, but they can't get permits to build in the West Bank because they have to get a permit from the Israelis to build a house in their own country. That's how fucked up it is. And so like the electricians, the plumbers, the plumbers can work sometimes, but like the home builders and the construction workers, they can't work because they can't get permits to work. And it's just like you go and get a meal, and a meal, I mean, costs you like $2 in the West Bank. I mean, the economy's dead. The people can't work. They don't have money.
So let me ask you a couple questions that I think that I have that I think other people probably have. Because I heard a lot of people ask these, like cell phones. It seemed like a lot of people in the West Bank, a lot of people in Gaza had cell phones because they were constantly able to like push that stuff out. Mm-hmm. If they can't even afford to work, if they can't have the food and stuff, like how do they have the cell phones? How do they have cell phone service? How do those people do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they have, it's not like they're living in the bush. They have, you'd be driving through neighborhoods like in Nablus or Hebron or Jenin, and it would look like fucking Iraq because the Israelis would come in with tanks and like bulldoze businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
But you have banks, you have restaurants, you have like...
So there were still people that could afford a cell phone bill.
Yeah. You can afford it. I mean, it's super cheap there.
Right.
So like what the Palestinians are charging is cheap. It's super cheap for the people that live there. So a phone for them might cost like, I don't know, a fraction of what we pay here, like clothes, for example. But they still don't have money to even like buy, food or pay for clothes or pay for like car payments or medical bills. That was a huge one. So like I started a fundraiser for the West Bank, and a lot of the money goes for bills. Mm-hmm. A lot of it goes to families that need help with medical bills or like dental bills, or, food is a big one, or they need help buying a new vehicle because theirs broke down. Just mundane things. They just need help with financial support. So like that's what my fundraiser usually, goes towards. But yeah, I was there for 6 days. And the Muslims were super nice to me too. That's why I always say, like when I don't support Islam, I'm against it. I'm a Christian, but the Muslim people have always shown me an unreal amount of kindness and hospitality and generosity. And so I can't sit here and say that they're all evil jihadists. Mm-hmm. I can't turn my back on these people who've been nice to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, and they're not just being nice to my face so that I'll give them money or something. No, these people are genuinely very nice people. If I had nothing to offer them, they were giving me coffee and food and snacks and wanting me to stay in their home and visit longer. These were the Muslims. Like the Muslim people that I've encountered in Muslim countries have been overwhelmingly nice to me and hospitable.
And that's not hard to believe because anybody that has been around a very poor or very downtrodden or very like oppressed people, they're all like that, dude.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing ever. But like even in Nicaragua, man, we met people that had I've told this story before. We as missionaries, you eat with like members in the areas that you're in or whatever, but you only have meals if there's families that can feed you. And so there was one area that we were in where everybody was super poor. And I literally ate like, I had bags of milk and bread and like those fake Oreos for like 40 days. That's all we ate. And there was this one time where we ran into this family who invited us to eat dinner. And I'm not exaggerating. Their house was literally 4 tree stumps with plastic bags tied together between the tree stumps to make walls.
Yep.
And then in one corner, they had a TV because everybody had a TV. That's the one thing you had to have. In another corner, they had all their clothes piled up in a big pile with like a little box that they used for a dresser. The other corner had a bed that they all shared or took turns sharing because some slept on the floor. There's a family of 4. And the other side, they had a Coleman stove, and that's what they cooked on. And they invited us in, there's no roof, right? But they invited us in their home. And we're all sitting there, and their food that they had for the next 3 days was 2 hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, dude.
They gave us one of them.
Yeah, it's amazing. You'll see the people who are the most generous and they have the least to offer.
And they were so happy and so grateful. They kept on saying thank you. They kept on asking us if we needed anything else. And I'm sitting there like, you have nothing. How are you?
Yeah.
But that's what I mean when I say like anybody that's experienced that, it's not hard to believe that that's the truth because that is how people like that are. You know, they are so humble and they're so grateful and they're so happy. And it's...
Yeah, so it always pisses me off when people, you know, who are fucking ignorant. They have no clue what they're talking about. They just...
And they wouldn't last one day in the shoes of these people.
Oh, dude. Yeah, no.
One day.
No. Like these are some of the most resilient people who live in some of the worst situations you can think of on the planet.
And it's all they know.
And it's all they know. And they're the most generous and hospitable people I've ever met.
Yeah.
So it always pisses me off when people talk negatively about the Palestinians because I've experienced that kindness and hospitality from a people who have been demonized at no fault to their own, and they have nothing to offer, and they live in some of the worst conditions on the planet right now.
They've been made the villain to hide who the villains are.
Yeah.
And that's history's playbook for a lot of reasons, man. Like that's what's happened. They're the people that be the powers that be are really good at creating the boogeyman, creating the villains to hide the true villains, which are ultimately themselves. But, well, dude, I appreciate you coming, man. That was an awesome conversation. We covered a lot.
Yeah.
I don't even know how long. That was a
hours.
freaking long time, dude. Yeah, it was awesome though.
Yeah.
It was great, and thank you for explaining everything and you know, giving more information from an actual like experience standpoint and someone that's actually experienced it themselves. And I think this will be really helpful for a lot of people. So tell everybody where they can follow you, how they can support you. Obviously you guys can grab this t-shirt. This is his t-shirt, by the way. I haven't said anything, but this whole time I've been wearing this freaking awesome t-shirt, Ban APAC t-shirt.
Yeah,
I freaking love it, dude.
Too.
No, you got the hoodie on right now too? Yeah, there you go. So it's Qoma, right? Qoma?
Yeah,
say that?
it's Qoma. It's an Aramaic word.
Qoma.
It's an Aramaic word that means uprising.
Uprising. Okay, so Qoma.com is where you can get your stuff, right?
Qoma Collective.
Qoma
is the full
Collective,
name,
excuse me. Okay.
So Qoma Collective is the clothing brand. You can find Qoma Collective on Instagram or just Google it and you can find the website. And then my Instagram is _TheRealClyde _ and then my YouTube is just The Real Clyde, all one word.
Awesome. Make sure you guys go follow Clyde, support him any way you can, grab some gear. Thanks, bro. Appreciate you coming out,
thanks
dude.
for the gifts too.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll see you guys later.